Well, we'll get it.
And now, live from the man cave, I will not be throwing anything tonight, Lord willing. It's a cold opening show. Deep in the heart of constitutional Livingston County, Michigan.
Constitutional. Remember the Constitution? Remember when Republicans used to talk about that? Doesn't seem
Yeah,
like they talk about it so much anymore. I wonder why.
Tonight we're going to talk about. Zoom that out, Scotty. It's not going. We're going to talk to Austin Franzel. Franzel. About being ousted.
You're a gay fish.
You're a gay fish. There's the gay fish. Is the gay fish zooming out, Scott?
No.
I don't see it. Hit that zoom for me. Anyways, welcome to the show tonight, everybody. We're going to do everything different than what we normally do. Are your buttons not working?
No.
Let me see if my buttons
All
work.
right. Classic.
You're a gay fish.
You're a gay fish. It's just stuck on the gay fish.
Classic.
shot.
This is my brain. Technical difficulties.
Oh, look at that. That button
Nice.
worked, but that's not the button I wanted. Let's go back to the table shot, and that
Ooh.
table shot's not right. Let's go to this one.
Right. There.
So live from the man cave with buttons working and not working. This is my brain. I'm Jeremy Scott Gibbs. Shane Trejo's here tonight. Teddy, the Black Pillar Bester, is on the show. He loves that name.
I do.
He does love it.
We love it. It's a terrific name. I'm honored to have that name,
It's
and
Better than
quite frankly, it's better than Larry Boomer.
Teddy the Fed. And obviously, I said it already, Austin Franzel.
How's it going, everyone?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome to the show.
welcome back.
We've got some exciting news to talk about tonight about you getting on the bad side of somebody.
Always.
Yeah. But we're going to get to that in just a minute. Let me see if I can go to this screen, and I have to do this thing over here as I was like really prepared. Let's talk about dinner. How was dinner, guys?
Oh, wonderful.
Great.
Spectacular.
Some steak.
Can't go wrong with
A
steak.
little bit of chicken. Had the asparagus going.
Problem is that you have that big bowl of candy down there.
You were sitting right next to
I
that was the
staked it out.
dude. That was that's the Easter candy for tomorrow.
Well, I'm glad I didn't eat like the whole thing.
So am I.
Taking candy from children
Yes.
wouldn't be a good look. I'm already infamous enough. I don't need to be stealing candy from children.
Shane Trejo, the
Sounds like
candy
you got
stealer.
What's the line from Hunt for Red October? I'm a politician and a liar. That means when I'm not stealing baby, when I'm not kissing babies, I'm stealing their lollipops.
Sounds like you already got a
Take
fan
the
in
candy.
chat, Shane, from our fan Jeffrey A. Mayo. Where
Uh-huh.
he says, "Yo, let me shout out let me shout out to my number one Mexican Shane Trejo. what it is, Playboy.
What it is, Playboy.
What's up? How we doing? What's up, Holmes?
What it is, Playboy.
What it is.
How's our feeds looking?
Rumble's looking good.
Okay.
I don't like Larry's laptop because I can't use the finger pad. I gotta get used to using the mouse for that because the finger pad doesn't work.
You might try to turn it on.
I would just do it with the mouse. No,
Scott,
check
how's
Facebook.
our other feed over there? The second computer.
Looks good.
Larry's laptop is operates out of Windows
thank you.
95.
That's actually my wife's old laptop that I brought down here to the man cave to use for something, and Larry has like confiscated it and now does that. But I wanted to say for dinner, hold on, I'm trying to do the thing here. There we
Steak,
go.
chicken,
shrimp,
Tramp.
asparagus, and I did it, and Scott was not completely pleased, but he did think it was good. The peppers that I did in my modified honey pepper sauce.
Too sweet.
So they were like little candies in there.
No, I
Candy
like the
peppers.
jalapeno one, man. That was
Dude,
good.
I made the jalapenos the other night for him
Oh,
with some red
yeah.
onions and some chicken that I had in the he was hanging out. We were doing music. And,
Oh yeah.
and dude, we're both sweating as we're like, I'm like, these are the hot ones. I like the mild jalapenos. Sorry, I'm sorry, just weak. He's like, what'd you say? If you're
Top of my head start sweating. It's good.
he's one of those guys.
Hey man, I'm from Texas, so
Hell yeah.
gotta have the heat.
Gotta have the heat. All right, so dinner was good. Appreciate you guys being here for dinner because we got to talk, and I like doing that. Right, Teddy?
Yeah,
I like to have conversation
it's
before.
like to have a nice conversation.
We
with
get
that.
a lot of the things out during dinner that we can't say on the show
Yep.
now.
And, it's nice having
Horrible, awful, despicable things.
it's nice having a conversation with legitimate people, and everyone can hear each other out, and there's no arguing or anything like that. So it's
Oh, all right.
You
Teddy.
mean we could all have our own opinion?
we can all have our own
That's crazy.
opinions, and no one can interrupt you or anything like that.
Some
What was I talking-
well-educated gentlemen sharing a few thoughts over a few drinks. I like that.
That's right. That's right. Teddy, what you got there? Some yang yang?
Got some ring.
Ring ring. So let's do this. Notice this podcast is raw, unfiltered, and completely politically incorrect. We say Merry Christmas, Pledge of Allegiance, especially the part about one nation under God. We thank our troops for their service. Thank you, those in the audience, and Scott over there at the booth for your service. We recognize 3 genders on this show now. We have had to modulate in recent years. Male, female, and mentally ill. That is the 3rd gender we will recognize as legitimate. As adults, we enjoy adult beverages. Just me and Teddy tonight enjoying adult beverage. There we go, buddy. Oh, wait for it. Wait for it. The Di Serono shot. We cuss, we do not curse or swear. Look up the definitions, please, for the love of God. And speaking of the love of God, we love Jesus, but hate religion and religious hypocrites. If any of this offends you, please leave. And that's the amount of disclaimers that we will do tonight. And did our table cam go back to the right camera? It did. Look at that. He's so special. I have to shut that off. All right. Any disclaimers that you have to do, Mr.
I would just like to say,
Brand new party guy?
as usual, I'd like to say that all of my opinions are the official opinions of the Republican Party and reflect on all Republicans, the local, state, national, federal levels.
And must be obeyed to your dying breath.
Yep.
Thank
Hell
you.
yeah.
Thank you, Shane. We've got that on record now. Austin, we're going to talk about your stuff. Anything that you need to disclaim tonight, any affiliations you need to disavow yourself of? Are you free and clear tonight?
I'm always free and clear. That's the thing. Living life.
But you're not Scientology, right?
No,
we're free and clear, but not free and clear.
You're just not at that. You're not at that level.
You're not.
okay?
You haven't exercised enough of your.
You haven't had
thetanus
the.
Your xenomorphs passed out.
I'll
Listen,
have to.
you haven't been
Tom Cruise on.
audited.
Yeah, I was about to say you didn't get audited enough. Okay,
We got to
Listen,
get audited and give your money.
we don't want Xenu to be pissed off at you. Okay.
Exactly.
No, Zenu. No for you.
It's like the South Park thing. 10,000 years ago, 10 million years ago, the aliens were planting, and evil Lord Xeno dumped in volcanoes. And they were dumped in planes that looked like DC-8s.
I would have thought the Battlefield, what was it? Battlefield Earth or
Battlefield Earth, starring John Travolta.
I would have actually appreciated that movie more if I wouldn't have known that they were trying to indoctrinate everybody into thinking Scientology was.
Did you ever see?
I never watched that shit.
You ever know the? The General's
bad.
Daughter? That movie.
Yeah, great movie.
So at the premiere, you had some like some former Scientologist guys
Mhm.
from Xeno TV. They dressed up as Xenu at the premiere and fucked with John Travolta.
As well, they should have.
And it's like, oh, John, it's me, Xenu.
That's great.
All right, so no other disclaimers that we got to get to tonight, so we're good on that screen. I'm gonna pull up some of my stuff. So what are we here for tonight, Shane? Set us up. Tell us why Austin is here to elaborate on his recent encounters and.
So last time Austin was here, we talked about the state of the youth in the Republican Party. Talked candidly about many topics, including the state of Israel and the collapse and support of public opinion among young people, including young conservatives, for the state of Israel. This was before the Iran war happened too. So everything has really, gotten drastically worse
Really
on
ramped up
every
now.
front since then. But we talked about that, and we talked about the growing influence of Nick Fuentes on the young conservative movement as well, which also has grown in recent months because he's the one who predicted that Trump would go to war with Iran, while most MAGA influencer type people were saying, oh, no, he won't. We're going to stay out of these wars, and then flipped immediately and started supporting the war after President Trump went there. So the situation has only gotten, worse on each front since then. But what happened in the GOP since then was there's been a big fallout. They did reference, the podcast that we had here, and that it was brought up during, I think a show trial of sorts or a struggle session with Austin and the Lapeer GOP, where they brought him up and said, you're guilty of these thought crimes. We're going to publicly castigate you and humiliate you, and we're going to bring you before the boomer Sanhedrin, and they're going to tell you what a bad person you are, and blah, blah, blah. And eventually he was excommunicated from the Lapeer GOP. So we do have a couple of videos that we'll be referencing later of one of the people there who brought me up, who brought the podcast up, and made defamatory allegations against Austin.
They brought you up too?
Oh yeah.
As well, they should have. I mean,
So-
come on.
I just want to say real quick, Shane, I want to push back on you for a second. It's not a war. It's a special military operation strikes on a country. It was a, surprise special military operation strikes, but it's not a war. I just want to push back on you for a little bit there.
Thank you,
And
Teddy,
neither
for the
is Russia and Ukraine.
thank you, Teddy, for the
Yeah.
clarification.
My bad. I misspoke. But so Austin, kind of set the stage there. So can you talk about how this developed? Like, what did they say to you besides, bringing up you went on a naughty podcast and said, and, didn't follow the script of what, the boomers say Republicans must talk about. Other than that, like, what did they bring up? What were the allegations? What were they hitting you on? And how did it all unfold?
Absolutely. So to give some context, we got to go roughly back to September. Back right after Charlie Kirk, the situation on September 10th, and Charlie fatally passed away, and it was very tragic, and the shell shock of a nation. We had a lot of situations going on in Lapeer County where or across the board, really, for the youth, there was a lot of people extremely upset. This was a leader for the youth that was killed in battle in a way. He was out there in the field working to push our ideas, our perspectives. He was working to get people to come to our side, and he was taken from us. A lot of youth at the time, and still continuously, started having a lot of issues with how things were being handled and the lack of any movement from any of our politicians to actually rectify what happened or to take steps to make sure that's never done again, and to the best of our ability, or anything really. We just sat back and respectfully, President Trump went to Charlie Kirk's memorial, and then instead of diving deep into the situation, he starts talking about how Tylenol affects pregnant ladies. And this kind of this mentality with the youth getting upset was something that we were all very traumatized about. There was a lot of mourning. There was a lot of people that we were struggling. And I made a Facebook post, I believe it was September 21st, where I said any politicians who, and I made the mistake of saying elderly politicians, but being 26, elderly is anyone above my age. And I hate to say it, but most of the politicians are not in their 20s by any means. But I said any elderly politicians who are not doing their jobs need to consider retiring. Well, what this upset one of the figureheads in Lapeer, that's kind of the shadow.
One of the elderly politicians doing jack shit. Yeah,
exactly. Actually, 100%.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
It
I keep
upset
pushing
him.
that wrong button. Go.
And so he texted me, and he was like, this needs to be the American Revolution, not the French. I want to mentor you. And he's coming up and he's blowing my phone up. And I'm just like, what is this guy? I don't need this right now. Why does he want to mentor me after I'm already having some success? Why didn't you want to mentor me when I was just a young young guy getting involved in politics and didn't know anything. Why are you trying to mentor me now? Why are you trying to talk about a revolution when I'm just making a post saying that crappy politicians should retire? So I didn't respond to him.
He wants to get his hooks into you, control you,
Yep.
co-opt you, typical GOP establishment bullshit.
Yes. And
as Adam Sandler said in The Wedding Singer, information I could have used yesterday.
Exactly. And on September 31st, I was having my Freedom Ball, which we turned into a memorial for Charlie Kirk as well. And I opened the doors for free. And there, I had, there was a lot to go about it. And at the time, it felt morally right to open these doors to everyone. It shouldn't be. I want everyone to be able to come together and enjoy politics. You charge $20, $30 per ticket. The average Joe off the street's not going to go and attend. So I opened the door for free, and the day before the Freedom Ball happened, it was Friday. The Freedom Ball was on Saturday. These gentlemen got an emergency board meeting for Lapeer County called before my biggest event I had ever thrown at this point. And they get this this emergency board meeting hosted. I show up. We have most of the Lapeer County Republican board with us. The two individuals, the Johns, we'll call them, were there, and it's the day before my biggest event. Why am I in this board meeting right now? What is going on? Over a Facebook post. We sit down and they're trying to tell me, you have to let me mentor you. You can't do things without our approval. And they're just executive committee members. So I simply said, who are you to tell me that I have to go to you for anything? I need to go to the entire executive committee. You're just one executive committee member. And he's like, well, you need to talk to me before you make any decisions. And come to me and we'll talk in the back room. That's what he said. And I said, you want me to do backroom deals with you? Absolutely not. This gentleman proceeds to tell me that I am unsavable to Christ. He then proceeds to spend the next 30 minutes just extremely upset, going after me. He wouldn't let me breathe. It was a very tense meeting. It's very much so like middle school, except without a principal really to actually like intervene and say, hey, you're in the wrong. It was the same mentality. So honestly, I've seen middle schoolers be more productive than some of these elderly leadership that were in that room yelling. And so
do they get into a get off the porch type of mentality where no matter what you do?
Pretty much anymore. Yeah. Well, it's stopped a little bit since they got me out, but every single thing that I've done over the past 6 months, they've tried to grill me on. Well, fast forward, that was back in September. That started a lot of these issues. We had the State of the Youth. They're already trying to attack me. The entire time they were underneath just trying to, because I refused to submit to them, they were trying to make issues with me.
Of course.
How
dare you buck up
yes,
against
how
the system?
dare you consider actually going against what we want, right? And even though I was just running the youth programs, that's all I've been doing. So as we fast forward, there was a bunch of different little things. I kept getting calls from my chairman, the vice chairman. They kept trying to, every little thing I was doing had to be calculated down. They really were analytic with it. They asked me to resign. I said, no, take it to a vote. That you have no reason for me to resign. I'm not going to do it. This is off of two individuals who are really upset. And so we had months of this going on behind the scenes. And last month they decided, what ended up happening was I found out, and this is some pretty new information that I haven't even talked to you guys about, but
do tell, give us the full story.
One of these gentlemen, his sons, was convicted for attempting to shoot up Lapeer Community Schools back in 2017.
Damn.
And
I would take that as is that a bad, I'm just checking with you guys. Is that a bad thing? Wait, why did that camera go there? Dumb camera. I tried to make a quick point and go right back to Austin, and the camera screwed me. Sorry.
Probably a bad thing.
I'm saying that shooting up a school is probably
absolutely
a
a
bad thing.
terrible
Okay,
thing.
all right,
And
back to you,
especially, I'm a
Austin.
senior in high school at this time, and my brother was actually a grade below this kid who was in the same classes as him. And so it was very revealing. Well, we find out that not only is his dad the former chairman of Lapeer County Republican Party, but he's an active precinct delegate. And that I have people who went to school with this kid who were getting upset and started making complaints to me saying, hey, why is this kid on the list? Why are they supporting him? Why is his dad the former chairman? Why is his dad the Lapeer library chair? All this stuff. So I just simply went to my chairman and I said, sir, I've received complaints and these are what the complaints are. And my chairman, the vice chairman said, we're going to get you fucking removed right off of the rip. After months of tension and
Is that
everything
direct quote?
else, that's an exact quote.
Okay.
Exact quote.
We
And
don't take the F-bomb lightly here,
I know.
so I appreciate that. Oh, he doesn't get the
Absolutely.
big one yet. No, he was just.
No, he
close.
gets a little one. We have
Yeah,
a, we
I'm
have
Oh,
even
okay.
reluctant to give him the little.
That's the big
F-bombs.
one because
Yeah.
it resulted in him getting booted from the
Well,
Lapeer GOP.
I'm just thinking of giving him the small F-bomb.
Well, we have a
just
system of
because he's only
F-bombs.
quoting somebody, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, fair enough,
Absolutely.
fair enough.
Fair enough.
What's Kennedy say? Your words, not mine. I'm just saying back to you what you've said, and I want to clarify what you meant when you said this. Your words,
Yeah.
not mine. So you
Absolutely.
said this guy's words, not yours.
Yeah.
Go.
And this was so needless to say, I lost my thought there. But
No, he said
he
said
said that
you're
they
trying
were
to
gonna
get this
me
kid-
fucking removed.
you want this
after-
kid off there because he's a actor.
I didn't even say that he needed to get off of it. I
But
just
why is he
simply went
being
to
nominated or something?
well, why are we supporting this? Like, this should be brought to your guys' attention.
Mhm.
You know, if
And
you're,
he's going to get you fucking removed.
yeah, if you're a county chairman and this
His
is sitting
words,
in
not
your-
ours.
Yeah, if you're sitting in as the county chairman, you would consider possibly going and signing more precinct delegates up in that region to possibly get him off. Do anything.
Yeah.
Instead, they do absolutely opposite, which is they're going after me. They were already mad at me for months, and now they want to continue attacking me. So we go into the Lapeer County GOP meeting, and everything's fine. They don't have me on the agenda. They don't have anything official.
What's the date of this?
It was on the, I want to say the 20th of last month, but let me make sure.
Post
Get
your
the-
your first appearance on here. Correct.
Yeah, oh yeah, this
Yeah.
was just last month. It would have been the 26th of last month. And we're at the very end. It was right before public comment and closing prayer. And one of the Johns at the very back decides to stand up and goes, I am making a motion to remove Austin Franzel as an executive committee member from the Lapeer County Republican Party. Okay, cool beans. You know, let's dive into it. We have a lot of youth over here.
Mhm.
We got to, you know, there's some fair people in the crowd. Let's get into it. Well, they had changed the bylaws back in November to state that you have to be a precinct delegate to be allowed as an executive committee member. I was under the impression I was a precinct delegate up until our county convention back in February, which, to give more context to that, back in January of 2025, my secretary of the county approached me and said, hey, we have had an opening in your precinct. We're going to fill you in. This is something Lapeer County had done.
They can appoint you.
That's what they can't come to find out, but
Oh, they can't.
were,
But they were going to try.
there was several board meetings where they were appointing people that was behind closed doors. So come to find out that was actually completely inappropriate how they were doing that.
Yeah.
But I do chuck that up to a lack of experience. That's something that, you know, if they had more years, maybe they'd get better, you know. But the secretary came up to me and said, hey, we have a spot, so we're going to get you in. I got elected onto the executive committee without being a precinct delegate, and I
Mhm.
was well aware. It was never an issue. And even on the 9th congressional district, you don't have to be a precinct delegate.
No.
Well, and so they changed the bylaws back in November to where it's one paragraph says eligibility is just a dues paying member, which is the original context. And the new paragraph states a dues paying member and a precinct delegate. They go into this new meeting and they're asking, before they did anything, they started submitting bylaw changes where they clarify in the first statement that they remove just eligibility being a dues paying member, but then they add a precinct delegate and dues payer member. So right before they even did anything with me, they're going to all the executive committee members and asking them to change the rules that would be applicable to me. And then later on, they asked to remove me off of me not being a precinct delegate. And they said they have 7 things that they have found me convicted of. Weird. They're not my judge, jury, or executioner.
Right.
It was just some random executive committee members.
So, like, was there an official investigation? Like, what
No.
went into this? They
Yeah,
said, they just said, here's a list of what you're guilty of,
yeah.
and we're going to oust you.
Well, so they never once had it on the executive, they never had it on the agenda. They never released any information to any of the executive committee beforehand. They never actually gave anyone any information to be able to come up to their logical conclusion on their own. They waited last second and then they just shoved this on everyone and said, we found him guilty of this. And it was 2 random executive committee members who have too much influence with other executive committee members. And when you're at a county that's had last year had 4 times they almost didn't have quorum. It's not that hard to get 9 of your friends to show up and push someone out. And so what ended up happening was they said, we won't get into it unless he, it really comes down to it, but he's not an executive committee member, or he's not a precinct delegate, so he shouldn't be an executive committee member. I looked at them and I said, please enlighten us on what these 7 are. I would love to hear it. They go through and it starts off with, I'm signing up precinct delegates and I'm doing this without the party's consent.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're signing up precinct delegates
How dare you?
without the consent of the party.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like if you said, hey, would you like to be a delegate?
Yeah.
Bad. That's bad.
No, I didn't get it vetted by the Johns.
And
ironically,
this
one
is
of the
part-
Johns is the
Yeah,
vetting.
this is part of the new idea that we don't want to sign up precinct delegates unless we know they're going to play ball,
Yep.
unless we can quote unquote vet them, which means that we know that they're not going to challenge entrenched leadership. And then if they do challenge entrenched leadership, which is often, as we know, very corrupt, very ineffective, then they are unilaterally removed by the dictates of the chair. Before, just a few years ago, this was never common practice, and now they're creating fake legal bases. They're creating kind of a culture of intimidation where if you do not go along to get along, then they will target you for dismissal, and they will not just remove you necessarily from the executive committee, but also effectively take your rights as a precinct delegate away in order to protect their own power.
Yeah.
Isn't this the last bastion though? The precinct delegate and what you're talking about, the vetting and you signing up without permission or authorization. Isn't that the last line of defense? First, they want to reduce the number of delegates. They want to run the party by committee, not precinct delegates. And now they're telling you didn't have these delegates vetted. That's the last line. We already have to deal with all these establishment bullshit candidates that they're putting up in front of us from all levels, right? Candidates we don't want, candidates we don't support. Trump was one of the ones that came in that we were like, this guy's not establishment. And now he's, taken in. But isn't this the war on it? Is they've co-opted all of these areas, and the last line of defense is that precinct delegate.
100%.
And so they're pulling this shit right now. Yeah, continue.
Well,
Austin.
and in a county, I'll say this too on that note, in a county where we had 55 precinct delegate open positions, you should be happy for anyone that signs up. All right. We're not Oakland County. We're not Oakland County. We don't have to pay 10 grand on a precinct delegate election. We need people to participate.
Right.
When you're in a county that had almost missed quorum 4 times in a year, you need people. You need to participate. You need you need as many people as you can.
And here's the reality too, is the people that will sign up, if you get them in there, you're supposed to be training them anyway. So what's their fear factor of signing these people, of having unvetted? Well, how do you know what their mentality is? Bring them into the party and then you're supposed to train them. So if you're so powerful, coerce them at that point.
Well, and I'm the youth chairman. At the time, I was the youth chairman for the county and the district, so I have full authority to be able to sign up. I mean, anyone has authority to sign up precinct delegates. I think everyone should be signing up and trying to be elected. But at the end of the day, you're going to talk about authority. It's like, well, I'm with the county and the district. I'm your youth chairmans. Obviously, I would, and it's ironic, the only thing they went on about was I did it at one of my events. It was a 9th District youth event that I signed up delegates at. That's my events. Those are my people. These are people I would love to have as precinct delegates.
Right.
And so you're going on and attacking me about it, but it's
growing the party with young people, bringing in younger precinct delegates. That's what every county should be striving to do.
100%. And educating them on the political process and getting them involved.
Yep. And not trying to control them too.
And here's the big thing about this too, Austin. If they're right, if their way of looking at things is right, okay, we'll chalk that up. Then what do they have to be afraid of?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. You will forever be.
You bring in these young people, you train them up, but as you said earlier, it's this this Charlie Kirk what would you call it? Snowball effect, where they were bringing in so many youth who were awake, who were not woke but awake, and we're going, you know what? I mean, the amount of I come from the Protestant, more Pentecostal dynamic of church
Mhm.
involvement. But I'll tell you what, the amount of young people that are gravitating towards Orthodoxy
Yep.
or even Catholicism
Yep.
is it blows my mind.
Two of my members,
Because they like the structure, they like the dynamics, they like not the pomp and circumstance, I won't put it in that category, but they like the ceremony, they like that.
Yeah.
It appeals to them, and I go, okay.
Well, I'd like to say too is that the mainline Protestant denominations have just been completely taken over by liberalism in its entirely.
Bastardized.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
And-
why I said the Pentecostals. I don't want to cut you off, Teddy. I'll let you finish. But that's why I said the Pentecostal, because they were more.
You ever see this man handle a snake?
Never happened. Never happened. But that dynamic of the Pentecostal Protestants or the more charismatic Protestants, a lot of them had more structure. From my experience in a lot of churches, and I've been involved in church
Mhm.
ministry for the last 30 years. I was a youth pastor, so I want to correlate with you and some of your youth dynamics and leadership having issues with it. Finish your point, Teddy.
Well, I was just going to say too is that the Protestant denomination. Well, you have two sides to it. You have the mega church evangelical types who have they have their own kind of influence on them.
Yes.
Where they have this like, if a lot, this 200-year-old theological thing of dispensationalism.
Yes.
And they're taken
Schofield
over
Bible
by
crap, yeah.
liberalism, and then you have mainline Protestants that are taken over completely by liberalism or even
Yes.
progressivism.
Right.
But a lot of people that I know that converted to Orthodoxy, for the most part, I'm just speaking of what I know, is that they believe it's like tradition, like you said, it's more structured. You have
Yes.
leadership, and it's the fact that is the Orthodoxy for the most part is like kind of the oldest sect of Christianity connected to like the Nicene Creed and all that. It's like
It's when you want to really, what I'm finding is a lot of these young people, and you guys can tell me from your perspective, a lot of these young people, and I was a youth leader when I was in my 20s, that they gravitate towards a structural dynamic because when they think of God, they think, I don't want to say what's the correct word, not stoically or they think piously. They think they God is way up here, right?
Mhm.
And so I want to reverence God. I want to honor God. And so if I go into a place that doesn't feel reverential, doesn't feel honorable, doesn't feel a little bit of, it's like a church service. You don't walk, or a wedding service, right? There are weddings that you get together and you're like, I don't know how long this is going to last because that was kind of a joke. And then you walk into other ones where everybody's they know it's a celebration of these two people being, this guy and girl, because we don't want to go to the other ones.
Yep.
But this guy and girl getting married, and they're celebrating that dynamic, and the ceremony has these really cool dynamics, but it's a ceremony. It has that I don't want to say again pomp and circumstance, but it has that reverence to it. There's prayers and there's vows and there's all these dynamics. And so when they walk into Orthodoxy or they walk into Catholicism or there are some still good Protestant ones out there.
Oh yeah.
They feel that dynamic of structure, and that's appealing to them because they're like, if I've been irreverent my whole life,
Mhm.
I want to walk into an environment that has a reverence that I can adopt, gravitate to, or embrace
Mhm.
that was not presented to me up until this time. Does that make sense?
And yeah, then that's why I give $5,000 a week to Paula White's
Stop. See,
Prosperity
now
Gospel Church.
you just stepped on my.
If I may add, all you got to do is plant a seed, and you're gonna bless President Trump and the chosen nation of Israel.
You both fucked up my whole thing.
But I agree. I think.
That's why I
if you
drink on
want-
the show, folks. We don't know.
But I do agree. Jeremy's right. There are some good Protestant churches, and sects and all that are still conservative and follow the traditions of the Bible, the Nicene Creed. But I can think of a couple churches, well, just one church in Livingston County.
Mhm.
You probably will know what I talk about. If you drive by, you can see the flag. They have a couple flags, and they have one flag that sticks out.
Mm.
And is that concurrent with Christian theology or tradition, or
Nope.
would be like a traditional Catholic or Orthodox church would be more appealing to actual people that want to people that actually want to believe in actual Christian doctrine and theology.
Now that there's a certain type of flag that is not congruent scripturally or morally.
But that's what
with a Christian
but the
congregation.
problem is now, and it's kind of like a thing of America at this point. This is why these evangelical, non-denominational churches are more popular. Is that you have the mainline Protestant churches that have become so liberalized that they believe in theology of liberalism instead of the actual, like I said, Christian theology. So you have people, like you said, turn to Pentecostalism or these other churches.
Well, I wouldn't say they're turned to Pentecostal, but I understand.
But yeah, some people do.
Well,
because
I've
these
met.
li- these-
It's amazing to me. I've met some people that you would not I'm going to say in a million years, but you would not off the cuff think this kid's a Pentecostal. He's attending church. But I have a couple people in their your ages that I'm like, wait, you go to, and they're like, yeah, and I'm going to services. One young man, he's a recovering alcoholic. He's like, I was closing bars 5 nights a week and 3 hours of sleep and going to work the next morning. He says, I go to meetings every night, and if I'm not in a meeting, I'm at a church service. And I'm like, and he's like, oh yeah, Pentecostal, but he's not of that Pentecostal snake bullshit. He's of actually that infilling of the Spirit, that direction of the Spirit dynamic. But I want to get back to this and then finish up and get back to Austin's story. But this idea of this orthodoxy and even Catholicism from the standpoint of the ritualism and stuff like that. Do you see the dynamic of this being a structural thing where it's not, if you think about it, I'm voluntarily walking in the front door. I have no obligation to be here. Now I'm talking about the kids, but I'm talking about the young people, right?
Yeah.
In their early 20s, mid 20s, and they're walking of their own volition.
Oh,
Okay.
100%.
Or even after Charlie Kirk's assassination, right? They're in the school says, no, we're not going to do a prayer during the football game. And the whole school stood up and said, no, we're doing a prayer before this football game. And we're going to sing songs. And there was spontaneous throughout the country that broke out. And I go, these are kids desiring to have a structure that is not a dictate, but is a voluntary understanding of a place of reverence and honor for something that they believe is higher than themselves that can take them to another place. Is that a clear understanding?
100%.
So I want to correlate that dynamic with what you were doing with these youth groups. Is you're looking at these kids going, you are the future of our country.
100%.
And you're saying, I'm going to hold a individual rally. I'm not asking for permission. I'm not doing this. I'm going to hold a meeting with some of these young people, see if I can't get them signed up and get them involved in politics, because this is another structure that we need to be part of, because if we're not part of it, it'll be taken over, and it already has. But continue on that, Austin.
So before I go into the politics side of things, I would say overwhelmingly with my organization, the most pronounced religion is Catholicism by far. For how many people are, I have 2 individuals today that are getting confirmed.
Okay.
Shout out to Ben and shout out to Nick. Congratulations.
Shout out, guys.
My family, I grew up in a very Catholic family. I myself am non-dom. And that's just after we went on a different path myself, but my family's been when we came over to the United States from Germany in the 1800s, we settled with the Catholic Church of Argyle up near Bad Axe.
Okay. A thumb boy from the thumb.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. Thumb in Kentucky.
I lived in Carroll and Vassar for many, many years.
I love Carroll and Vassar. Beautiful. Vassar is really slept on, in my opinion. Very beautiful little town.
Raised my kids there for the first 11 years of their lives.
Very beautiful towns, man.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I come from the thumb, which during the 08 recession got absolutely obliterated, and then I come from my family comes from southern Kentucky and Appalachia, and that area has just been destroyed. And so every time I go down there, I get like that's my why. I've seen what they did to those people and my family, family. And so that's my why. But I would say with Catholicism and religion as a whole, my generation has started coming back to the Lord. Yeah. And that's been massive.
And that's the amazing thing is I'm watching this, and it blew me away, because being in youth ministry and stuff, and then church ministry for years, I was the type of person that I kind of bucked the structural dynamics. Now we had set things that we did, but I didn't want it to be so rigid and religious,
Yeah.
right? You want to
Yeah.
buck the religious, but maintain tradition, maintain honor, you know, maintain reverence.
Yeah, well, and I look at youth programs as it's the pathway, right? It's not
Yeah.
going to be perfect, but it's the pathway to the main room, right? Like
Yeah.
you're going to have some different coloring paintings out here. You're going to have a bathroom over here. You're going to, you know, this is the pathway. You go into the main room, you're an adult. That's when things get serious. But when you're in these youth programs, this is supposed to be your training. This is supposed to be your testing. This is supposed to where you're supposed to be able to make mistakes,
Right.
and, you know, get closer to the Lord. And one of the issues that we see, and I'm sure you saw as well, is the interpretation of like boomers and older people wanting to control those. I remember I threw my first youth meeting for Lapeer County back in 2023. My second one, we did a board games night, and this lady decided to show up, which was great, but she was 46 years old. And she was
Coming
trying
to a youth group meeting?
Yeah, to a youth group meeting, which was like 18, 19, 20. At the time I was 23. So they were like in between 18 and 24. And she's like 40, you know, in her mid 40s, and she's making everything like it feels like we're back in middle school again. Like,
It's
don't
all
swear,
awkward and
don't swear, don't hit, you know, don't go outside and smoke, and, you know, and oh, she brought you some coloring books, and it's like, well, this isn't what we're doing here.
She
This
was well
isn't
meaning, but get the hell out.
yeah, like this isn't the middle school, you know, level. We are young adults. We're gonna, after we get done here, we're going to a bar. Like, you know, like we're gonna go out and have a beer, and you know what? This is just us getting around and hanging out before.
Yeah.
But it's always the like I think a lot of Christian groups are doing better at this as times went on. But you can't have like super like the old top two generations mingling in terms of age, mingling in with the younger two generations, and expect that to be considered a youth group. You're going to drive a lot of young people away. Like, you know, as much as they may be good meaning and good heart, you can't have grandma sitting there going, did Timmy just say the F-bomb? Well, he's 22 years old, and he's going to say stuff that you're not going to
Listen,
like.
Timmy didn't fucking say the F-bomb.
I fucking said that.
And even with, you know, young Republicans kind of goes from like 18 to 40.
Yeah, literally.
But even with that, there's still kind of, I feel like there's like a dichotomy between, you know, people who are more your age,
yeah,
and then like kind of like 30-year-old professional type people like myself. So
yeah,
you need to have different types of groups, different types of meetups,
yeah,
mingling type groups. You know, sometimes, you know, there will be, you know, both kind of groups can kind of come together for, you know, something, or to watch, you know, Charlie Kirk type figure
even
give
your
a speech
monthly
or something.
meetings.
Or monthly, or just an official monthly meeting. But if you have a mixer with, you know, people who are, you know, between 18 and 25, young professionals type thing, people in their late 20s, early 30s, and the successful chapters of the Young Republicans. Young Republicans has kind of been improving in Michigan, but it's normally just been kind of like a dummy group where it's just a handful of consultants. They don't hold real meetings. They keep you on the outs. They don't allow people to even create new chapters. And it's just completely moribund.
They want to control it.
They want to control it.
Read that last chat, Teddy.
From
From
Patriot.
Patriot.
He says, according to Livingston County Republican Party, youth is 18 to 45 or something crazy. Stupid.
So just take the Gen Xers in.
So that lady, according to the LCRP, would have been. She's good.
Yeah.
She made it. She made the cut. She made the cut. Woo!
But yeah, there are places like in Tampa Bay or New York City where, you know, they have vibrant Young Republicans chapters, and they're doing all kinds of cool events, and they have kind of something for everyone. You know, they'll do like a salsa night or wine Wednesdays, and, you know, they'll have activism, they'll have camaraderie, all kinds of different interesting things. And, you know, their events, they'll bring out 50 to 75 people, and they're, you know, normal looking people. It's something that you can bring like a friend who's more of a normie and be like, oh, hey, this is an actual cool thing, where I can meet new people who aren't, you know, completely woke. And then once you get them in the door, then that's how you kind of cultivate that person to an activist. We've never had that in Michigan. And unfortunately, there's been people who've just done everything that they could to try to prevent us from having that in Michigan
Well,
for over a decade now.
And that's been the biggest problem. Is I would say the ninth district youth has really been the closest thing to a healthy youth organization I have seen. And the college Republicans, they have 140 years of tradition under their belt.
Mhm.
So, it's hard. They are well established by all means, but that's hitting a very specific demographic. And what's funny is, I'll just say this. I had some of these CRs, the top admins come through my chats and they didn't even know what district they'd live in. Well, that's one of my first things is to teach everyone the basics, what county you're in, what district you're in, who's your chairwoman, chairman, how do we get you more involved? How, in 2 years, maybe we could get you on the executive committee here. And
As long as you obey.
as long as I obey. And so, they're not really, it's more of like a social club. At least in the past, I will say Tyler Campbell has been a fair chair for them in terms of his work ethic.
And one thing to kind of note is that most of the college Republican chapters have broken off from the official Rhino Federation of College Republicans, and they've joined, I believe it's the College Republicans of America, which are the more America First version of the College Republicans. And they've been a campaign by the usual suspects to try to cancel them because they've had people who have said things that were politically incorrect or taken stances on issues like regarding the state of Israel and foreign policy that weren't in line with Republican establishment, and the CRAs have refused to throw those people under the bus. So I am friends with Will Donahue, the guy who founded the CRAs, and think he's a great guy. And that was kind of a big test of his leadership, and he passed it. So I'm really encouraged with what they're doing.
Well, didn't the University of Florida, Central Florida, try and get rid of their college Republicans lately because they hosted a candidate with the
Fishback.
Fishback with the wrong opinions about certain
Isn't
things?
Fishback one of the badasses down there?
Oh,
He's definitely highly he's not scared to take a stance on issues that many Republicans are, and I don't think he's very high up in the polls, but in terms of having a youth following in Florida, it's huge. So he's got a huge youth following, and he's definitely, I don't think he's going to win the nomination for governor, but he's not going to be going away.
The problem is Florida right now is just full of elderly people, boomers. Let's just say that Florida is swamped with boomers.
I want you to get the audio clip of Greta Thunberg saying "How dare you," because that's when you need to play it.
How dare
How dare you?
Yeah, well, Florida's just full of boomers and establishment Republicans.
Delegates without our permission.
Unless DeSantis endorses someone besides Donald's, Donald's is going to handily win, unfortunately.
I think that it's going to. So I've met Fishback, and I think Fishback's a really good guy, actually. There was funny. We had some interesting conversations. Like there was a rumor that he was atheist at one point. So I'm on the phone with him and I'm like, so we got to talk about this. My guys just need to know. And he's like, bro, I've been Catholic my entire life. Well, he's like, I think Fishback it's a long shot in hell, but I will say in Florida, it's a very interesting state. And with the youth movement, you got to remember this. Every young person door knocking for you is going to go out and hit 100 to 200 houses in a day. That's a lot more than a lot of other people, I'll say, that I've door knocked with. So,
Chap?
No, you were going to say something.
Well, I was going to say,
just got to do some mail fraud with the boomers.
How do I mail again? Come on, man.
Come on, man.
I forgot how to mail.
And by the way,
hey, man, 2024, we're going to win in 65 states.
You got that button, play it. It's on the Trump page.
Not a joke, everybody. That's why we were defeated in 2018 when they tried to do it. We went to 54 states.
54 states. Go ahead and read Tina's, Teddy.
Tina says, my opinion, we need to get serious. Forget about the division of quote unquote religions. Praise God and follow his word directly from the Bible. Time for Christians to unite. It's imperative for the way. And I just wanted to say too, it doesn't really matter at this point if you're atheist or not. I mean, if you're agreeing with 95% of what we have to say, besides the fact like, well, I don't believe in, this particular religion or denomination, then
that's what I was getting to with the reverence, and is I said right from the bat, and I'm agreeing with Tina, is Orthodoxy, Catholicism, or even the actual good Protestant churches, what's the common denominator is reverence and honor for the Lord, you know, and coming into services. And I'm looking at that. And so I wanted to touch on this point before we move back into your story deep, but I think what we're looking at this dynamic, Shane, is we're looking at people who want to control other people versus people who want to create an environment that is inviting to where people feel it's like you can walk into an environment and have the 45-year-old lady with the coloring books who wants to control every little detail. Now, I worked at a place called Teen Ranch years and years ago. Okay. And they used a philosophy. They had a teaching philosophy there. They used the 7 habits of highly effective people, but they also used another thing where they would do behavior modification. They weren't trying to change the heart. They were going to modify the behavior through different rules and codes. And they used a lot of group dynamics to change behavior. Okay. Now, some of that does translates into your mindset being changed. But if you deal with the mindset first, then your behavior follows. That's just the dynamic. Okay. We're transformed, Romans chapter 12, it says, if you're being transformed by the renewing of your mind, if I'm transformed in my mind, then my body and my expression will be example of that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm looking at these dynamics of these older generations, as we're pointing out, that want to just control the behavior in the moment. And a lot of times it's embarrassment. You're not going to come into church and act up and embarrass us versus really good leadership that creates an environment that people pay attention to and don't think about acting up because they're paying attention to a positive, uplifting, reverent environment. You know, it's very hard for a lot of people to walk into a funeral home with a body sitting there and act like an asshole. The vast majority of people walk in there and they go, no matter where I'm at, this is a time to be respectful. It's a solemn event. You know, somebody's passed, everything like that. And when you have church services that are akin to a wedding or a funeral, because we are celebrating the death and resurrection of Christ. We're doing Easter tomorrow. When people walk into those environments, it tends to be appealing on certain levels. And that's what I'm seeing in the youth is that when you're talking about these mixers in different places, even New York and stuff like that, and you're talking about the 9th being like, in your opinion, a either a stronghold or at least a place that's emerging in Michigan. Did you have to dictate to these people? Did you have to force it upon them? Or did you create an environment where we go, hey guys, we're going to come in here, we're going to have fun, but we also want to be respectful. And people just, for the most part, not 100%, honored that. Is that the dynamic?
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm seeing this return to Orthodoxy or Catholicism or to more structured Protestantism is because the environment's created and they walk in of free will and they go, I'm going to be, it's the kids that are forced to go that are the ones that end up being the assholes.
100%.
But the kids that go there voluntarily, they go, this is my one time of the week to really straighten up. And I'll give you one quick thing. We were talking about the Fly on the Wall podcast with Dana Carvey and David Spade. They started, in one of the interviews they started to talk about Chris Farley. And Chris Farley was hard. Everybody that knew him, Saturday Night Live and the movies and everything like that, everybody behind the scenes that knew him, he was hardcore Catholic. Probably the only reason he made it to 33 is because he would party all week. And then he was in the confession booth and at church service Sunday morning, no matter what, no matter how hardcore he was in his drugs and alcohol and prostitutes and whatever he was doing, come Sunday morning, he was sitting his ass in church and trying to reconcile work on his demons and work on that stuff. And I see that as another aspect of a lot of these kids that have been given this environment of no structure, of no restraint, of no reverence and honor for each other or for God. And they look at that. Now they're looking at Orthodoxy or Catholicism or, again, structured, good Protestant churches. And they're going, man, I know I live like a hellion all week long, I'm going to go in here and sit and honor this environment. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, 100%. I would say that my generation has been born through a lot of sin and raised through a lot of sin, and possibly the most godless time for American history.
Yeah.
And now we are rejecting that, and we are coming back to Christ because we understand
They want some structure.
Yes,
They want
they do.
something.
And I'm even an example of that to some degree. While I was raised in a Catholic family, my direct household, very laxed. I didn't have to go to church very. It was like probably once every season we'd go to church, and that was to make my dad feel good about himself.
Right.
But my cousins,
I was in church on Easter and Christmas.
Yep, that's another example. We'd always go, and but that was it. And my cousins, though, they were raised in church. They actually are. One of them has been struggling with religion and has been coming back. But needless to say, I found Christ later on, again on my own. And it was because I was being raised in a time where all I could chuck it up to is there is evil in this world. And if there's evil, there has to be light.
Yes.
And if there's light, that means there has to be stuff to fight for. And so I started researching, I started studying, and I started praying. And once I started praying and I started really opening up my heart and soul to the Lord, I realized that there's answers to our prayers.
Yeah.
They're just not always the ones you may want. And it really comes down to the individual to open up themselves for those answers that they don't want to hear.
It takes that time to open up your ears to hear what the Lord's saying, because it just like you could drop any of us in this room in a foreign country.
Oh yeah.
And within a few weeks, we would start to pick up on the cues, not using a language tool. We would start to pick on the cues of what the language is, and we would start to learn the language and be able to operate. And then at a certain point, we would start to you could start to get comfortable with the language.
Got to learn how to ask for water.
Exactly. You got to learn how to ask water and where to use the bathroom and all that stuff. You would learn that dynamic. I guarantee it. I've seen it. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so if you think about it the same way with the Lord, is most people, and I've asked the Lord about this. I go, Lord, he goes, I talk to everybody. Mm-hmm. He talked to Cain right after he murdered his brother. Yeah. Where's your brother Abel? Oh, I don't know. He just answers them. And everybody's like acting like Jesus walked up to him, or a manifestation walked up to. This isn't their dialogue. Where's your brother? And everybody can hear the voice of God. And I asked the Lord about this, and he goes, but very few people recognize it. Mm-hmm. And we see it in the cartoons. I was raised on the old cartoons, right? And you see the little angel and the little devil on the shoulder of the person. They're whispering in the ear, trying to get him to do one thing or the other. That's actually the voice of the devil and the voice of the Holy Spirit. And the more what's the phrase, Shane? The feed the wolf, feed the beast. Well, you feed the one. We feed the wolf that we want to control us. Mm. It's like we're listening to the one that we want to go in. But if we listen to that good, it's why do you hear that little voice to say, pick up that trash that you're walking by right now? There's a trash can right over there. You're walking towards the door. Just grab that thing and throw it in the trash can, right?
Put back your shopping cart.
That's the simplest ones, right? And we hear that. Smile at that person as you're walking out there. Yep. Turn around and smile at that door greeter. Just in that split second, you go and you turn around and go, smile. You have a good day too. Because they've been doing it all day and ignored by people. Yeah. They've been putting out saying, have a good day, and they've been being ignored. And they need somebody to turn around and affirm that they're have a purpose in that moment. These are the dynamics of the voice of God that people discount. And I've said for years, if you can't hear the Lord in the little things, in the very minute things that are insignificant in your thought process, that have no point, then you're not going to hear him for the big things. Yeah. When I hear people talk, I know the Lord told me to run. And I go, did the Lord tell you, about this or that? And they get a blank stare. And I'm like, so that God told you to take this huge step. Yeah. But you've never heard him on these little steps, on these insignificant things, to turn around at church and give that person a hug because they needed a physical contact and somebody to connect with them at that moment. No, I don't buy that shit.
I'll even say this. I believe in that everything you just said so much that when I'm hiring people, I always take them out to a restaurant and I have a couple waitresses that I know, and I'll have them make mistakes on purpose for hires to see how they act. I want to see how they treat the
How
staff.
they honor.
Yeah. How are you going to act when things go wrong? Are you going to yell at that waitress?
Yeah.
Who is, she's just a single mom of 3 just trying to survive and actually, put bread on her table too.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if she made a mistake. You're going to be nice and you're going to have courtesy. And as soon as someone acts up in a restaurant, I know I'm just like, I'm good. I won't. I refuse.
You don't have that depth of honor.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful test. That's a beautiful test. I've went to eat out with a whole group of people.
Yeah.
And my meal is perfect. And everybody else, I hope they don't mess it up. I hope they don't, and something's messed up on it, something's like that. And I'm like, I'm sitting there just enjoying my steak or whatever I got going. This is perfect. And they're looking over at me and I'm like, because I have an expectation and I have an appreciation. My mom, who got to be part of this show for about 3 years, she raised me before she married in the Gibbs family. She raised me on a waitress salary. I grew up in the back of restaurants. Okay. So it's like, I go out of my way to tip high. I go out of my way to honor. And we had a blast this past Friday. Well, yesterday. We went to the fish fry here locally at the golf course.
Nice.
And we met this guy, Steve. He'd been here for 2 weeks. I got to connect you with him, Scott, because he just came back from Texas. Or Scott. Yeah, Scott, I got to connect you with Steve. Hockey player, goalie, connects with us. I mean, he's just all over us. I finish eating everything on my plate. He comes over. This is the type. Comes over, picks up my fork, puts it on a napkin, grabs my plate. Like doesn't wait for me to doesn't ask me if I want to keep my fork.
Yep.
Just comes over and grabs it.
But how was the fish?
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. And it's the last one of the year because obviously it was Good Friday. But he was just gracious and everything like that. And then I watched other people interact with him and I'm like, dude, just honor that guy. And I told him multiple times, I'm like, thank you. And every time he comes and Jocelyn was there and her boyfriend, Brandon, right? And he comes over and he says to Brandon, he says, hey, would you like me to refill your drink? And I looked up and I says, and he didn't wait for an answer. He grabbed the drink, went over there, and I looked at Brandon. I said, hey, Brandon, he was asking to refill a drink. And Brandon works in service too. And he immediately went, oh. And so when he came back, he made eye contact and said, thank you. He's 17.
Yeah.
But he made eye contact when he put his drink down and he said, thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate that. That's the type of test you're talking about. And that's the type of people we're seeing I'm seeing in these dynamics of a return to orthodoxy and Catholicism or whatever area of Christianity. I don't care as long as you're connecting with God. I'm seeing this desire for people because they know when they honor other people, good things come. They're seeing the oldest law in all of Scripture is as long as the earth remains, there will be seed time and harvest. That's law of sowing and reaping, right? It's in Galatians chapter 6. God cannot be mocked. Whatever a man sows, he's going to reap. The law of sowing and reaping is absolute. If you sow into good things, you will reap good things. If you sow into being an asshole, you're going to get assholes coming at you. And I watch people that have expectations good and expectations bad, where they expect bad things to happen and bad things happen. And they go, oh, I don't know why this is happening to me. And I have people that have that sow into good things. And every once in a while, yeah, of course they're going to have some things. But then all of a sudden it's like, wait, I had this bad thing happen, but then 10 other great, phenomenal things happened. So I had a good attitude about the one thing that was bad, but I sow into good all the time. And so this huge thing came around and you go, wow, this is the positive thing. And kids this day, they're hungry for that.
100%.
They're like, I'm tired of getting the shit kicked out of me all the time. I want some good things. And they realize the only way that happens if they do good themselves. And so like, where can I go? Can I go to the church? Can I get involved in these or other organizations that are going to be positive? They're going to have a good impact. Can I do this? Speak to that.
Well, I would say, really, in all reality, one of the biggest things that we have going on is just a return to traditionalism.
That sums it up perfect.
Yes, like it's you have to realize that Gen Z started in 1997. I'm pretty sure it's either 96 or 97.
Okay.
And we were born, and you have 9/11. You have 08. You have the recession crash.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being a third grader when the 08 recession crash happened, and half my class just vanished because their parents had to pack up and move. and you're in a small town, that's noticeable. You remember the houses start to decaying. I remember, I remember having to go to food banks and stuff along those lines, and I'm like 9 at the time, not knowing any different, but I'm sitting alongside with everyone under the sun just trying to get some food, maybe a blanket, maybe a jacket, because that's the type of community that we had. You go a little bit further than that, you have roughly 8 years of kind of this weird stagnant, we're getting a little better, but not everything's okay. And then boom, COVID happens. And on top of that, you have 20 plus years consistently of the United States at war during our entire lives. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
I think we've spent less than like 3 years of my entire life at peace. And
It's ridiculous.
And so, you have this generation that's, we're sitting here, we're raised with all this happening, and then you have the rise of technology, and you have a lot of people who start to look into, well, where do we go wrong? Why do I watch old films of the 90s, like Air Buddy as an example? And you're like, wow, life seems so great. This boy and his dog, he was just playing basketball.
Phrase of the good old
Doing
days.
alley oops, the Air
doing
Bud.
alley oops or the Air Bud. And now, you got Rocky, you got all these other really great things going on. You got Mike Tyson as a legend, and then you get into the 2000s and it's still there, but then it just starts slowly teetering to the point where, I mean, freaking Little Mermaid can't even figure out what's going on there. And,
everything is degraded. Everything's debauched.
Yeah. And
nothing is wholesome anymore. And it's all by design.
Well, and there's a joke that, back when 08 happened, instead of, learning how to do A's, B's, and C's, I should have been investing into property. Because that's the simple truth.
100%.
Like, we can't even afford houses nowadays. We can't afford, I tell people this and they don't understand. The youth are struggling because of the fact that we did not get a break. It was 2 years, 18 and 9 through 2020.
Well, hey, pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
All you gotta do is just work 40 hours more a week, kiddo.
Back in my day,
I got a house and a car by just working at the manufacturing thing.
you had to
40
manufacture.
hours.
Well, I babysat for my neighbor twice, and I afforded a house and a speedboat.
And 3 cars.
So it's
And
like,
2 lake houses.
I want to point this guys out because I commonly refer to 08 as the time when I lost my Bentley.
oh,
Damn.
yeah.
You were living like a boomer back
Yeah.
then.
Look at you. You're living it up.
Looking like
That's
a
when
G.
that's when I lost my Bentley.
I tell you what, man, it was very real. I remember there was this one house.
Nobody believes me sometimes. I'm like,
Yeah,
I had
good.
a-
Well, we got the
Bentley.
photo proof. I remember all the brand new neighborhoods that were being built, like $300,000 houses back then, which would be like double that nowadays. I
Or
remember
triple.
watching them. Yeah, I remember watching them sit vacant for years.
Mhm.
There was a mansion built out in one of the parts of my county where literally they just went through and started scrapping all the copper out, all the wiring. I mean, this brand
I
new
watched
house.
some of them.
became a
I watched
shell.
some of them on was it 275 south of Ford Road and stuff. There was a couple on the side where you watched all the plywood gray.
Yeah.
Never got siding, never got finished, and then pretty soon, a couple years later, they were just completely tore down.
Yeah.
They
Well,
never put siding, they never put a roof on it, and it just rotted.
Absolutely. That's very common. And so you have a generation now where it goes into the hard times create strong men theory, right?
Correct.
And you're at the point where hard times have created strong men, and Gen Z and Gen Alpha in particular are going to be the two that are built to handle this buck. And we're fed up with, we were told, go to college, you'll get a great job, you'll make so much money, you'll be able to afford
Hasn't
life.
that myth been
I'm 26, so I'm on the older end of this. When I was entering the college years, I was one of the few kids that said, actually, I'm going to go to skilled trades,
Mhm.
screw college. Hate to break it to you, it's not going to work. And I just the other day was in an argument with one of my peers on the 9th district. And it was, well, your generation went and got $100,000 in debt and went to college. And I turned around and I was like, are you saying my generation listened to their elders and that's why we're dumb? I was like,
Right.
it used to be that they were sitting in their mom's house and smoking pot on the couch till they were 35. But because we went to college and got that debt, we're now idiots
Right.
because we actually listened to you.
And there was the videos for a
You
long
better
time.
pay back the banks every dollar.
Well, listen
though,
here. It's all about integrity. Okay?
Integrity.
You took out a loan from one of the globalist banks, the big banks like BlackRock,
With
gotta pay
30%
it back.
interest.
to pay for
You
an
better pay
overinflated-
black. You gotta pay your debts to BlackRock.
Gotta pay your debts to BlackRock and all the lenders.
Pay for
Well, let me tell you something here, kiddo. Okay? Everyone needs to get down the skilled trades because that's where the money's at. That's definitely not going to overpopulate the need for skilled tradesmen, even though the only way to take back institutional power is through university. Okay, kiddo?
Don't get a law degree, kiddo.
I love the exactly. I
10
watched.
years ago, get a law degree. Now, don't get a law degree.
Did you watch the videos on that where the guys with law degrees were burning their law degrees? 'Cause
I
they're
don't
like,
blame 'em.
I couldn't. No, well, and not only that. So Teddy's going to college, but he's going to college for academics.
Yeah.
So that's legit.
Mhm.
But I watched these videos. They started to emerge about 15, 20 years ago, maybe, right?
Yep.
I don't know when how
Well-
old YouTube is. Well, let me finish this and then I will go to
Okay.
you. But where the guy would go, my teacher told me if I didn't go to college, I wouldn't amount to anything. And he pulls up a fucking wad of bills, usually hundreds. And he's like, so I went into construction and she was so right. I never amounted to anything. And he's just holding up these bills. And I'm like, dude, I can make a lot of money if I did this. Teddy going to college has that, but he's going for something. He's not going for fucking bastic weaving and
yeah.
just getting a college
Liberal
I
degree.
just want to give
arts.
my experience because I did, I want to give a little bit of what I did. Because so I went to college for a year after COVID. It was online. I didn't do too hot. It was a bit kind of boring. So I chose to quit college. And then I did roughly a year and a half of just wandering around, mostly trying to see if I could do skilled trades. And I kind of realized that wasn't for me. So I went back into college for a renewed purpose and of figuring out of what I actually really wanted to do for my
So you
life.
experienced life and then found your purpose.
I experienced my life and I kind of figured out what I
Yeah.
was more inclined to do.
Right.
But I just want to say, from my experience talking to kids younger than me and my age, that I think, college is meant for what, stuff that you have to have an education, be responsible for. So like
Mhm.
lawyers, engineers, and all that. Problem with college is that it's meant as a cash cow kind of thing where you convince gullible people, I would say, or just younger people, not in the know-how, that
Right.
if you do like, let's just say, for example, there's someone that's like, oh, I'm going to get a degree in English.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so what are you going to do after that? Oh, I don't know. I'm just going to do a degree in English.
So they're going without direction and purpose, but they're going to get a degree that
but
they think is
it's just
some
what
kind
they
of,
feel like. It's like, it's
Yeah.
what they, it's like kind of like what they feel. It's like they
Feelings.
feel like, but it's
nothing
not
more
like,
than-
it's not a purpose.
There's no practicality.
Yeah, it's
behind
not
it.
practicality. Colleges now rely on impractical.
they
if
rely on the
that's a
kids
word.
to be
They-
just smart enough to get into the classes and pass them, but too stupid enough to figure out what they want to do in life.
No, and they will wait till they're in their last year of college. To
Most of these
figure
kids
out.
don't have to declare until their third or fourth year.
And so, but I was at 17. So actually, ironically, I just ran into one of my former principals. And I remember being 16 and I had this principal asking me, at the time, I wasn't the greatest kid in high school by any means. And he was asking me why
You're
I
a
was
slacker.
You're a slacker. Why are you like that? And I told him, I'm going to get into automotive. I'm going to get a job right out of high school. I'm going to make more than your teachers.
Yeah.
And I don't even have to go to college.
Right.
And I saw him the other day, and we were he actually lives in the block next to me, and I get coffee with him every once in a blue moon.
Mhm.
And right out of high school, I was working for Suburban down in Troy, the auto mall.
Yeah.
I was a service advisor making $55K a year. I signed my first $70,000 contract at 23 years old.
Yeah,
And
you're kicking ass.
and so and that's the thing is with the skilled trades, the one thing I'll say that is oversaturating it, it's not American kids getting into it. There are a lot of them that are starting to get in that direction, but it's H-1B workers or other types that are coming, foreigners that are now mitigating into these work environments.
If you look at the jobs report, there's touting the jobs report. Oh, we added so many new jobs. Most of that's just H-1B hires in the healthcare industry.
Well, they're replacing
Right.
us.
And you had Oracle. You had Oracle laying off 30,000 people, and then immediately after, you look this up, they replace those people with H-1Bs.
Yeah.
Well, and look at the dynamics
Golden
too.
age.
Look at the
Golden
dynamics
age.
too. If I want to have a crew that's going to do it in one day, do a 3,000 square foot house in one day, drywall it, or put the bricks out there, who am I going to want to hire?
Mhm.
I'm going to want to hire that Mexican crew that can't even fucking talk to me, except for their supervisor's going to speak in broken English, right? But they're going to have it done. That's a debauching of that skill
Yeah.
trade as well, because it's a very high. I can't stand drywall, but well, you guys know, you use the bathrooms here. Is the drywall finished? No, because I fucking hate it.
I think the problem with that kind of stuff is, and you can push back on me, but it's they pay, but they don't pay enough for Americans to live by, but they pay enough for foreigners to come in and transfer.
Correct, and that's
No,
the
for eight Mexicans to live in an apartment.
Yeah.
yes.
But
so,
and then they transfer the money to
But that's
back
Wal-
home.
Yeah, back
correct.
home.
But then you think back, and I'll let you go, Austin. But think back to this dynamic. I've tore out more plaster and lathboard out of old houses than I've ever wanted to in my life. Okay, and to realize that at a certain point, that drywall, what we would call drywall today, but it was plaster and lathboard. These guys put on these thin lathboards. Half the people in the audience don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. They put on these thin strips of wood that were rough sawn. They had a texture to them. And then they would take the first layer of material that had horsehair and other hairs in the mastic, and they would put that on those boards. They're just slab boards. They had lines in them. If anybody's tore apart a house, you know, it's plaster and lathboard. You put on these boards, pieces of wood. You nailed them all on, right? Then you had to put on a layer that had a fiber to it. Horsehair was a common thing in there, and then you put a covering coat on that. And when you walk in these old houses and you had this copings and these beautiful, they were made out of the plaster. They were these old. You didn't have the trim boards. You had actual plaster material that made these copings around there and these cornices and all these cool things in there. That was a high level, high paid skill. And then the material got better and easier to use. And then the skill level, it stayed the same, but the price we're going to pay for it dropped through the basement. And now we only do these 8 guys living in a fucking 1-room apartment to do the work. And that's the dynamic that we're talking about. Both of those dynamics is we've reduced that occupational pay to the point that we only hire the lowest bidder on that. Whereas all of these skills trades should be paying. Now, I can walk into a job site and I can charge a lot of money for what I do. And it blows my mind sometimes because I'm not a surgeon. I'm not, these other things. But just like you're talking about, you got this job. My oldest son went down to UNO.
Yeah, University of Northwestern Ohio.
Okay. And he was there and he realized within the first 2 semesters wasn't for him.
Yeah.
All right. But he's the head of welding at his shop right now. He's the man. He can run every machine in there. He can weld all the machines and he can weld the fabrication that they do there. All right. He made his way in that. You've made your way in that. Teddy's making his way. He went and worked and figured out what his pathway was. These are the dynamics we're talking about. And these are what these kids are craving, and we're not giving that to them the way that our country did 100 years ago.
Not at all. Not even 30 years ago.
We're making it so difficult for them to do this. We're demeaning the jobs that should have the most respect. We're elevating the jobs that are the most useless.
You should be working at McDonald's.
Well, not only that, I just heard a statistic about hospitals that the highest growth factor in most hospitals is administration, not doctors and nurses. The highest growth in hospitals is administration.
The white collars.
It's just hiring people that are counting beans versus the people that are dealing with the actual clients. I don't want to call them patients, the actual people. And this is, I grew up, my grandfather, we're from the UP.
Yeah.
Okay. At the time that he was in high school, we would call it high school, right? Back in the, whatever it was, so many generations. The Ironwood High School was one of 3 high schools in the east, from the East Coast to Mississippi. It was one of 3 in the nation, or in that section of the nation. That was the pinnacle. They could fabricate tools for the miners. They could fabricate tools for automotive. They could fabricate tools, and they would fabricate a block for an engine that they would use in the mines. They would fabricate all of these things. They would fabricate hydraulics. The kids in the high school, in their metal shop, in their woodworking shops, were making things that the workers were using. So then they immediately, when they graduated, went into those trades and already had an understanding of how those tools work and how to literally make them. Now we've got cell phones and all sorts of stuff that you gotta, if they break, you gotta throw them away because you can't fix a fucking thing. They're made to be junk if they don't work. It's this total dynamics. And you've got this generation though that's coming back that's going, no, I'm gonna assert myself. I'm gonna fix this thing. You didn't know a farmer or a mechanic 50 years ago that couldn't fix everything.
Oh, 100%. Especially on the farmers and good old boy type deals. They were out working on their trucks. They were working on their cars. There, you know, if the washing machine broke, they're taking it apart. They were fixing it as much as possible.
I fixed one of my washing machines years
as
ago.
you should.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing for everyone to have a basic to appliances, and it will save you a lot of money.
But isn't this, and this is what I want to come back to and get back to your story. Isn't this when they were doing this in the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, when you had Rosie the Riveter during World War II, when you had these dynamics, these were not unique, special people. These were people that rose to the challenge because that's what's within us, God-given.
Yep.
It's a God-given ability. As the Creator created us to be creators, we want to be creative and recreative. That I want to fix something. There's a whole workbench downstairs where I tear shit apart and put it back together. And I get so frustrated that if I can't fix it because they've made it in such a way that I can't fix it, I take a hammer to it.
Yeah.
Because you did this on purpose that I can't fix this thing that you put out there. And that's abhorrent to me. But I'm looking at this dynamic of these kids that are coming up right now, that are gravitating towards orthodoxy or Catholicism or some type of structure religiously. They're gravitating towards structures in other areas of life. They have this innate God-given desire to be creative, to be productive. And they're looking at the system going, you're trying to destroy that and make me just a button pusher, and I don't want to push your fucking button, because after a certain point, I'm going to push the button. You're going to replace me with an AI or a robot who's going to push the button better than me and more efficient than me. And I was never designed to be the button pusher. I'm supposed to be the one creative in this dynamic. And I'm seeing these young people right now pushing back, and they're going, I want structure and I want creativity. And the two don't have to be anathema. They don't have to be opposed to each other. I'm going to be creative over here, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to hang out with my friends. We're going to have a blast. And then we're going to be in church too. We're going to be honored and be reverent. And I'm seeing these dynamics starting to really emerge, and I'm excited about it. Even in the midst of the bullshit that's going on and the dollar and all, it's like I'm seeing, and I'm looking at this going, all right, Lord, what's going to emerge? It's just this new dynamic. And I want you, and then Teddy as well, to speak to that, what you guys are seeing youth-wise, as far as that creativity and that orthodoxy that you're seeing, where they're like, if I walk into this environment, I'm going to be reverent and I'm going to honor what I'm doing. But I walk in this environment, I'm going to cast off all restraints and all, not debauchery restraints, but cast off our restraints in my creativity. I'm going to think outside the box, and I'm going to go for this dynamic. I'm going to say, you know what, college isn't for me, and I'm going to go make more money than you, 10 days later. Talk to that.
So I would say that, let's throw back in there the traditionalism word. So what I see out of my generation, for the most part, is I want to have land. I want to have a family. I want to have a beautiful wife. I want to see my kids do sports. I want to make sure my wife, a lot of us are very we want to get it back to where it's a one income household. We would love to have a stay-at-home parent who could actually raise your kids. A lot of us are huge on homeschooling. Massively on homeschooling. I would say, especially in our generation with what we were talking about earlier, which ties into all this, the school shooting stuff. We just want to keep our kids safe, and we don't entrust the indoctrination, and we don't trust the safety to our children, to them. Correct. And so, we as a generation, like I said earlier, it was raised through conflict, chaos. We're now rejecting all that for stability. we are rejecting it for what has worked instead of the concepts of what maybe a progressive world is.
Mhm.
We actually want to go back to what we know was working because it worked for our parents. It worked for our
Yes.
grandparents. It wasn't that long ago. We could physically see it working because we were born and raised through it.
Right.
And we saw the collapse with our own eyes. And of course, technology has helped raise that to a different level. But through traditionalism typically leads to being religious most of the time.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's for everyone, but there's something about raising a farm, or, you know, being on a farm, raising some goats, having some chickens, seeing life through a different
Did
aspect.
you drive by my chickens?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Yeah.
And
Well, there's a dynamic of there's a reason why the Amish communities
Yep.
have continued to thrive
Yep.
and can maintain a foothold in this country. It's not because of the rejection of technology, it's because of the embracing of traditional
Yes.
values. And they only see when they see technology as
tool.
encroaching on the traditional.
Yep.
That's when they start to reject it. And you'll watch these guys, these Amish farmers and stuff
Mhm.
like that, when they go outside of their environment, they will use modern tools.
yeah,
But they understand that when they go home, they want that simple life. I want to point this out, and I don't think you guys have ever seen this phenomenon, but there's a phenomenon going on right now where there's some schools that are implementing no cell phones.
yes. Well, that is about to be a law in Michigan.
Okay, and so what they're doing is they're coming in, they're saying no cell phones during school hours or while there's allotments for emergencies and stuff like that, but they're doing this. And what they found, what blew them away was they found out that within 2 weeks, the kids first went, "What the hell? I can't have my phone with it like this." And within 2 weeks, kids didn't care anymore. And in fact, they enjoyed it. They were actually talking with each other.
Yeah.
They were having a good time. They saw this whole dynamic happen where within 2 weeks, they didn't see it as a restriction anymore. They saw it as a chance to talk with their friends and engage in class and do all these other things because they weren't glued to a screen and doing this and not paying attention. Right. And I'm going, ooh, this is a dynamic. This is a flavor of these things. If we do it. And I was listening to Fly on the Wall and I think it was Dave Spade. He goes, the minute my iPhone tells me how many hours I was on it this month and how proud it is of me, he goes, that's when I shut it off and I shove it over there. And he said, I don't pick it up for the next couple of days because fuck you, but that's this dynamic is whatever our distractions is, right? It was newspapers on the subway in the 20s and 30s.
Yep.
Okay. And then it was other things throughout the ages. And now it's the cell phones and everything like that. Whatever disconnects us from our human connection with each other, that's the problem. And I'm seeing the cell phone, and I'm looking at all of these dynamics going, there's a resurgence in humanity, in life, of people reconnecting with each other.
Mhm.
And I'm excited about this, whether it's traditionalism, however we want to couch that, whether it's a resurgence and looking at our political dynamic. As black-pilled as Teddy is, he's still, he brought up 5 or 6 things during dinner that I'm like, oh, well, Teddy's paying attention to that shit.
Well,
He's watching that. He brought up like 3 different countries.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, well, over in this country, they're doing adding to the conversation, but he brought up other places. I'm like, holy shit. He's paying attention, even though he's seeing the reality of what's in front of him and trying to navigate that dynamic. That's what a lot of these young people are doing, and that's exciting. And these motherfuckers want to remove you from having that influence because you have that balance perspective, and you're trying to recruit them in that balanced perspective. I earned that. And the old gen, the controlled group, wants to get rid of you because you're not trying to control their thoughts. You're trying to embrace their thoughts and then help them continue to be enlightened, because if we all are pushing towards truth and freedom and liberty, we will be back in that reestablishment of what the founding fathers did. And even more than that, what Christ says is, or Paul wrote, for whom the Son sets free, you're free indeed. It's that dynamic of Christ setting us free to what? To make our own choices. And then we realize our own choices, if we make the right ones, our benefit. We make the wrong ones, they're our detriment. And that's the dynamic. I want to set you free to make your own choice. I don't give it, and I'm not going to dictate what that choice is.
100%.
But if you make a shitty choice, the law of sowing and reaping, you're going to pay the consequence for that shitty choice. If you make a great choice, you may still have some difficulties because nothing in this world that's worth going after doesn't involve some hardship, right? You want to get big muscles, you got to go to the gym and break this down or work a job, right? A manual job. But that's that dynamic of, I want you to achieve something.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at you, and of course, Teddy is my regular on my show, but I'm looking at, and I go, I have hope. Not so much Shane, because he's old now.
He's a
getting old.
boomer.
He
But-
has 1 year
I'm
left with the
great.
Young Republicans.
He's just 5
But-
years
but-
away from being Larry.
Yeah, but I'm looking at these dynamics and I'm going, that's where I find my hope, because you have the drive and the initiative in whatever area you're at, and you're self-assured, but you're not cocky or arrogant. You're going, you know what? I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to figure this out. I think the cockiness came from a false idea within our country. You know, yeah. But you're 23 and you get your first contract for 70 grand, and you're like, dude, I didn't need your system or your philosophy. I'm going to go make my own way.
Yeah.
And then you had that foundation, and you're appealing to young Republicans going, look, I heard you talking with Teddy during dinner, and Teddy's like, I think it's all fucking lost. I think it's all gone. That's his black pill dynamic. But you came back and you said, I think there are some dynamics. I think we can. There is a road. There is a pathway to come back, but we have to do it in such a way that people are empowered. People are encouraged and well, empowered is the best word. They're said, you have value. You have a purpose, and we need to take back this, or we lose the whole country and we have to start again. And I saw those two dynamics as you guys were talking about it during dinner, and I thought, that's what I want to see. That's the discussion I want to have. Is somebody who says, I think the parties are gone. And you say, well, I think there's a dynamic of maybe the parties can be salvaged if we do this and we do this. And I've seen it. Teddy hasn't seen it, but because he's been on the outside of the political sphere, but aware of it.
Yeah.
You've been on the inside of the political sphere, but aware of the detriments and the negativity and facing this bullshit. And so these are the minds that I want to sit here with and go, what do we do, guys? And then inject my wisdom of years, Shane's wisdom of years, and go, okay, but have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about this? That's the dynamics that I want to do. And that's what I think is exciting to me is we're not hopeless. We're not, the bombs aren't dropping everywhere right now. You know, we're not in the garbage heap of humanity digging out, but it needs to get better.
Every day that we're breathing, we're not hopeless.
Exactly.
And that rant was his roundabout way of saying he's just like the woman who showed up at the board game night.
Once again, Shane likes to shit on my listen. When you clip out what I just, my whole rant there, right there, cut off your fucking comment right at the very end.
That was great.
But I want you, Austin, obviously to respond to that hopefulness, not the hopium, but the hopefulness.
Yeah.
And then I want to bounce it off of Teddy with his black pill assessment.
Absolutely.
And a regular dynamic.
So I would say that I spent a lot of time. I got first involved with the GOP back in 2017. I was actually 16, 17 years old. And I remember I've had many a nights where I thought, Chicken Little's mentality, the sky is falling. And, I remembered a lot of that. I've seen a lot of stuff. I remember back when Ukraine was actually having a revolution back in 2014 that was backed by the United States, and the Russians were starting to invade Crimea. I was watching that live as a student in night armor fighting
You're like,
in the
what the
middle
hell?
of Kyiv. It's just crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've learned is from the inside, though, is there is paths. There's specific reasons they try to keep them quiet. I've talked about precinct delegates all year long, and I've watched the face of senators turn white because I'm in front of a crowd and they're like as white as a ghost because I'm talking about precinct delegates.
Right.
Well, why are you doing
You're empowering
that?
the little man.
You're empowering the little man.
Yeah.
And so what I've noticed is why does Oakland County have, every precinct filled for the most part, to my understanding, and you have to spend a lot of money to get elected.
Yeah.
But up in more rural red, Lapeer, we have 55 vacancies. And Metamora's the border right there.
Which is all farm country up there.
Yeah, literally. And so wouldn't you want your strongest people to
100%.
actually, be a participating? So I've seen a system that was specifically built to keep people that are of, I'll say, rural or lower income, or, you know, along those lines, to keep them out of the system, to keep them away from play. And control has from the top controlling the bottom, rather than the bottom understanding the power it has. And I just think that we have to unlock the power of the people. And, you know, Charlie Kirk had a really good video where he was talking about precinct delegates and how back then he was telling President Trump, when you're at rallies, you need to be setting up. You posted it, actually. That was wonderful. Yeah, you guys did. And I reposted that, and I said, this is exactly the truth. Why isn't President Trump recruiting precinct delegates? We would have, the party, if you want to drain the swamp, you have to fix one of the parties. When we have a two-party system, the alternative option of a third party, not even President Trump thought he had the motion of doing. And if there was one individual in our lifetime that did, it was him. So I believe you have to fix one of the parties. You have to look at the rules. You have to look at the actual platform itself and figure out what you have to change in the platform to be more respectful of what conservative values we have. And from the ground up, you could make a strong movement, but it comes from a lot of money. It comes from a lot of emphasis and work. And it comes from education that they are specifically telling us not to have. So that's kind of my stance, is we just have to educate ourselves and get to work.
And yeah, if you look at what the left has done, you know, they have taken the community organizer strategy. You know, they've organized precinct by precinct. They've organized community by community. And that's how they've created the pipeline of being able to put all these different people in power. I mean, it took decades of hard work with, you know, little tangible yields to show for it. But the left just stayed diligent. They stayed working in their communities, and they just kept working and working and working it. And little by little, you know, now you look at, you know, how did the left become so extreme? How did it get so much power, the Democrat Party? Because, you know, they effectively organized. And then once they were able to become an organizing bloc that could not be denied, then they were able to get the money after that.
Yeah.
Once you know, the big money saw that this is a viable way to get power and to maintain control, then the money started pouring in. But not until after these people became brilliant organizers. And they've already, you know, put out the organizational blueprint. A lot of it, you know, has to do with, you know, forming, you know, a lot of different organizations, kind of tangentially related to politics, as you know, many of us have done. You know, we've created our own organizations, Grand New Party PAC, Restore Our Republic. So we have, you know, done these sort of things to kind of create a new brand that's kind of very similar to Republican or conservative or libertarian or patriot-minded MAGA, but where we don't have to necessarily be beholden to a corrupt party structure. We can just get people in, get them active, get them engaged, build the network without having to jump through all the hoops of these boomers and these entrenched douchebags who just exist to try to trip you up and keep their country club intact.
Yeah. No, that's 100% fact. Everything you just said is very real. And I when we were building Restore Our Republic, that was one of our things that we considered, was this is an additional layer of security that is outside of the realm of people that for any little thing will try to cancel you. And, you know, and we're supposed to be the party that doesn't cancel, but I'm seeing in our own mix, we are quickly becoming the cancel culture party. And so it's a strategically smart move, and we have to do it if we're going to actually build from the bottom to the top rather than the top to the bottom.
Building, you know, your own institutions and building, you know, something that you can't be you know, it's yours.
Yeah.
You can't just be canceled and thrown out of it at the whim of a handful of douchebags. So Black Pill Teddy, we're talking about the virtues of political action. You're not so big on political action, are you?
Well, no, I am not. I think every form of power is from top to bottom, not bottom to top. And any kind of democratic institution or election or process is always bought out by whoever has the most influence in terms of actual raw power or cash or gold or whatever. It's always about influence. Because for the most part, as I will say with Trump, is that you had most of the voters, you know, as we can see now, immediately after the war started, we had 2/3 of people opposing the war. Doesn't matter what public opinion is that you will still go to war because Miriam Adelson paid hundreds of millions in your campaign and you are influenced by APAC. So,
but other people do.
But I mean, it's a lot of it's entrenched. I mean, like, look, Elon Musk gave, I think, even more than Miriam Adelson, but he wanted to rage against the machine. He wanted to bring about an end to big government at some level. And how long did that last? 4 months. He's out. He's
out.
done. Game over. But if you want to come in and continue the the establishment, more wars, more military-industrial complex, it's easier to wield influence in the direction of which the system's already going.
And the people are so open to propaganda, and we're seeing this now too, especially with the MAGA. I'll just say Trump utopian syndrome cultists. And how dare you? Where they watch Fox News or Ben Shapiro.
Fox News is the greatest channel ever created. Come
on, man. Where you watch any kind of TV news or any kind of paid influencer, and then you'll believe, as Iran has the missiles to hit us, even though that's easily debunked. The economy's great because you were already pre-established at some point before anything meaningful was shipped overseas or given to foreign labor, or you had to do 2 master's degree to obtain.
You bought your house,
or the main thing too is that if you want a job at this point, you either have to go for hundreds of interviews, apply for thousands of jobs. I know all my friends have had to do this. You had to apply to hundreds of times, and out of these hundreds of times, you get hopefully an interview at LinkedIn, and you need to have a college degree at least, and it's just nuts. And then you get all these boomers that are like, well, you just got to work harder, sonny. Just pull up by your bootstraps. I worked hard. I worked 40 hours at the manufacturing plant, and I bought a house and 2 cars and 2 dogs. But it doesn't work like that anymore. And these people are stuck in these people think we're in like the 90s or something like that.
Shane, what is the value of the current dollar versus its original creation?
I mean, it's got to be down, over 98% by now? I mean,
98%. So
it's way down. I mean,
yeah.
Before the recent rounds of inflation, it was already down well over 90%. So it's got to be coming up on 99 to 100%.
Teddy, give us from the boomer generation.
Well, for the dollar thing.
The 60s and 70s, right? The dollar, gasoline was 50 cents a gallon.
Well, I'll just look up silver prices right now. We have a silver dollar. We had a silver dollar that was 9/10 pure silver, 9/10 of an ounce pure silver. Current silver price is $74.
So you're telling me that this silver dollar right here,
that silver dollar,
yoink,
is worth
let's just say
about $80,
around $65.
Without its in value of being a 1922 Liberty dollar.
Well, I'm just talking about raw constitutional silver. I'm not
just
talking
raw
about
constitutional silver. This dollar, that's what I want to point out, right?
Yeah,
the funny thing.
Silver,
and
yeah.
Continue, Teddy.
So with constitutional silver,
yeah,
and when these old people bought their houses, they still had silver in the 60s, and they still had a strong dollar in the 70s until the gold standard was abolished, and you still had a manufacturing economy until the early 90s.
Mistakes that he regretted.
Yep, but nowadays, what can get you by? I'd just say 21 an hour. So if you work 12 hours a day,
in
Michigan, an hour, in Michigan,
that'll get you by.
That will get you by. But $20 times, that's $240. That would only be roughly $4, a little bit less, I think, of constitutional silver. You see the problem here? You see how much the inflation and devaluation our dollar has
100%.
had?
That's why I brought it up. That's why I wanted to point it out. And pointing to Shane, because he deals with Bitcoin and deals with some of these other currencies. He understands the fiat currencies.
And who benefited from the debt going sky high? Who benefited from the entitlements, from the massive government? Who got the benefits of that? The boomers.
The boomers.
And now who gets screwed at the end of the road?
Yep.
Yeah,
the rest of us.
So when you guys speak up, when you even black pill and you go hardcore black pill, I still want to listen to you because you don't have that infrastructure in place to where you could fall back.
Mhm.
You know, they advertise this shit on TV of a reverse mortgage. You know what a reverse mortgage is? We're going to pay you a monthly installment to buy your house from you.
Yep.
And then
Hey, Tom Selleck wouldn't lie to me. He's got a big old
he's got a
mustache.
big old mustache. But they advertise this reverse and I was like, what the hell's a reverse? Oh, wait. Oh, you're not going to give your house to your kids. They're going to pay you a monthly amount for what your house is worth so that when you die, you don't own your house and you can't pass it on to your kids.
Hey, sonny boy, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I'm going to the casino.
I'm going to go to the casino and I'm going to go on cruises in the Caribbean. You brats need to earn your worth. Don't tell me about the dollar being as much as worth. I paid $19,000 for this house. It's not worth $100,000, damn it.
Back in 1973, I paid 23 grand for this property.
There were houses that people bought for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 that are now worth $500,000 to $750,000 today. That nothing has changed other than the currency being destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are living through that. You're talking about, I know what you've told me you made. I know what you've told me you've made privately off the air. Okay. When I was working in the late 80s, early 90s, I was making upwards of upper $4 an hour, lower $5 an hour. And that was plenty at that time. Now I had other aspirations, but that was plenty. You know why? Because I could put gas in my car at 70 cents a gallon, or 80 cents a gallon. Now don't fucking go off of me and Chad, John Bovey, fuck you. But I remember those dynamics, right? Yep. If you guys don't make, they had this huge push. It was bullshit to inflate the dollar again and do more things, but this push for $15 an hour mandatory, stuff like that. That's why I can't go to do the Taco Bell drive-through and not spend $15 on a meal that cost me $5 in 94 or $4.
Well, remember the dollar menu at McDonald's?
It was actually a dollar menu.
Double cheeseburgers for $1.
I think the fundamental thing is that, you could say labor costs is a big, issue of things going up, but it's not kind of like when you look at costs, anything like that, it's not as much as you think. I think the problem is that we import more things like that than we actually produce. We used to be a nation that manufactured and produced.
And I won't disagree with you, but I'll say that the only thing that's changed fundamentally in this country is the debauching of the currency and the rise of the debt. We went from went from a slave concept pre-America into America. They wanted to get rid of it immediately in the founding of the country. They had to wait to a civil war to get rid of it. And we went to a debt slavery. So I agree with you about importing a lot of stuff, but the reason we import a lot of stuff is because they inflated the dollar so much that we couldn't afford to buy products here. So they shipped it overseas where it was cheaper, where that same labor over there is worth less. And now you guys are looking at it going, how do I go out there and earn enough money in this economy? Not earn enough, the pull you up by your bootstraps. You know what? If you guys were making the same money you're working right now, you'd have a fucking 100-acre farm and 10 horses and 15 kids and fucking 15 cars without batting an eye, and your wife would be at home homeschooling those kids.
And if you were
on the money you make right now.
And if you were in Utah, 6 wives.
Well, 6 wives.
I just wanted to push back on you, Jeremy, because I think our economy is doing so great, as our former Attorney General said. The Dow was at 50,000. It was at 50,000.
Epstein files talking about.
Why are we talking about Epstein files? 50,000.
But that's the fundamental problem of our economy is that our economy is now built on corporations, CEOs, pedophiles,
so that's
international capital.
It's always
GDP,
right?
GDP and profit only.
Well,
it's not about the welfare of the state.
But that's
or
the only thing
people.
I'm pushing back on you when you started talking about it shipping overseas and getting this cheaper products. I think that I go back even further and say that cheaper products are a result of debauching the currency and our dollar not being able to afford as much. So we have to outsource it for cheap to maintain the illusion of still having the same standard of living, when the reality is we should be paying the drywallers and the the actual guys here
Yep.
the proper wages to put in a drywall and a bricks.
Yep.
Instead of hiring these cheaper guys to do it because we can't afford that because our dollar is worth less, and the standard of living does not follow the inflation rate
At all.
consistently at all. We should be paying about 23 to 25 cents per gallon right now. If we followed the actual increases, our silver should be worth more. If I walk in with an ounce of gold, it'll buy me the same amount of suit and tie and shoes and everything that it would have 100 years ago. But now it's $4,000. What's current gold right now? 4,500,
I think
something like that?
It's over $4,000 right now.
Is it 40? So I could go in there and get this badass $4,500 suit. It's not because the suit's worth $4,500. It's because our currency is less. What were you going to say on this whole topic, Austin?
So when I was
debauching the currency.
born, in '99, we were at $5.2 trillion in debt.
Mhm.
It took 230 years of a nation to acquire $5.2 trillion in debt, 2 world wars and plenty of other wars, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In the last 26 years, we have acquired, $34 trillion in debt more.
Yeah.
And so it's not rocket science. If you watch the debt clock, it's honestly terrifying. I've been watching the debt clock since I was 12 years old, and more money gets spent in literally 5 minutes than I think I'll ever see in my entire life.
It was one of the things that
I
I
remember
disagree
watching
with
the
Trump.
debt clock in 07. It was like at 8 trillion.
I
was like
remember
freaking out.
Yeah.
I remember 10 years ago in 2016, freshman year of high school, my history teacher, good guy, he said, if we go over 20 trillion, that's the point of no return. This is back in 2016.
Yeah.
And we've accumulated, since less than 10 years, over 20 trillion in debt. You get and just let's say, well, Biden did that. Biden.
No, it was
but it's
Obama,
all
Trump.
I
It
mean,
was
Trump,
Biden.
Trump
it was
was
all of
right
them.
in line with Obama and Biden as far as the debt increase. And
Well,
that was one of the
and
problems I
he-
had with him. I'm
Well,
like,
and
wait a
he
minute.
said you got to spend money to make money. Was his whole justification
And
behind
that works in business.
Yep.
It doesn't fucking work in government.
Well, and on top of it, no one was expecting to get hit by COVID because every little good thing that was happening got completely crumbled.
that's the torpedo they hit him
Yeah.
with in the first administration.
Yep.
And I believe that Iran is
gonna be
the
second
torpedo in the second
Iran is the
administration.
torpedo that he chose to do.
They
you can't-
talked him into arresting Maduro
Yep.
in Venezuela. It'll be a quick strike.
It went
Mr.
so
President.
well. It
It'll
went
be
so
so great. We're
well.
gonna
Do
do
the
this, we're
same in
gonna do that.
Iran. Yeah.
We're going to do the same thing in Iran. We're just going to go. It's going to be a strategic strike, and it hasn't worked out that way. And now it's a quagmire, and he's asking for 1.4 or
we're probably gonna
1.5
have
trillion dollars.
And we're going to have a ground
He's
operation.
gotten sucked into the
Yep.
same fucking thing, and that's my frustration because I believe in his heart that Trump is an honorable man. Teddy, you said it.
disagree.
You think that they're all bought and paid for and appointed. I get that. I understand where you're coming from. Okay, and
I think okay, I fundamentally think I'm sorry to cut you off.
Go
there.
ahead.
I fundamentally think at the end of 2029, we're going to have a Democrat neo-Obama elected. They're going to implement their Project 2029.
as long as it's hope and
We're-
change, and we get a lot of
we're gonna
racial
have-
dynamics.
They're going to
I'm
be
good.
arresting our people. Actually, they're actually going to do arrests, and they're going to strengthen institutions in their favor.
You thought
something-
Jan 6 was gone? Me and Shane are on the chopping block.
Yeah. Well, the thing
Here
is,
we go
is that,
again.
I've interviewed Stuart Rhodes on the show.
and the thing
fucking
is
done.
that my whole thing last week or earlier this week, Tuesday, is the Trump utopian syndrome.
We're gonna call it that show from now on.
Well, I didn't even want to bring it up, but my whole thing was like, we got to address Trump utopian syndrome because it's doing more damage to the country
Right.
than liberals with Trump derangement syndrome are ever going to do.
I-
And then you think, oh well, Trump's doing the poll, and you could say, now everyone believes the poll because it's 100% America supports Trump.
From CNN.
Yeah, from CNN, but now they believe the polls. That's part of it. But we got to actually get to these people that, hey, not every 90% of that what they're doing now, 95% is not in our interests or the country's interests. It's actually making things a lot worse. Do you really think that if you weren't some well-off boomer, that you say, oh well, I don't mind $5 of gas, so we can stop the imaginary missile threat and nuclear threat? They were going to get nukes. Netanyahu told me on TV
Since
since
Pakistan and North Korea had nukes and have sponsored terrorism
Netanyahu
throughout
told
the
me
world.
since 1995 that they're 2 weeks away from getting nukes. And these people are still like, well, arrests are coming. It's 2 more weeks. This is all some strategic grand chess plan. And
No.
it's like, no, you replace Bondi with someone arguably worse, And the first thing he says is
Hor-
that
not even arguably, absolutely,
absolutely
fucking
worse. And the
horribly
first thing he
worse.
says is like, "Oh, we're not going to, Justice Department's know the FC files."
He was already shutting down because Pam Blondie was just coming on Fox News to do a PR report.
Ella Bella says Trump is fighting the New World Order through Iran.
Ella, I'm going to disagree with you. He's not fighting the New World Order. He's
What?
actually spoken about
Did the
establishing a New World Order. And you know what? If we want to fight a New World Order, you do it like the Founding Fathers, and you do it from a sovereign country. Do you know how we changed, how we collectively, how the Founding Fathers changed the world? Was, and I'll go back to what Teddy said and touch base with you guys. But Teddy talked about, he goes, it's a top, he keeps saying it's a top down, it's top down, it's top down. I agree with you, Teddy. The top down is supposed to be God, and then you as the sovereign, we the people, individual creation of God. And that's what our founding fathers went for. They were like, for the first time, we're going to not honor the king. We're not going to honor a lord. We're not going to honor a potentate. We're not going to honor a judge. We're going to have we the people as the top of that dynamic of authority, that we the people. In fact, the two that I've come to love more and more now, the 9th and 10th Amendments, the enumeration of the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. He was the founder said, we're going to make sure that the people, as these sovereign individuals, we don't believe in the divine right of kings. We believe in the divine right of the individual now. And the 10th, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited to it by the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. It's this constant reaffirming of we the people, we the people, we the people. So I understand what you're saying. I understand your perspective on it. What I'm saying is that this was the first country in our recorded history, as if we believe our history, right, that established the individual as the sovereign and the most important, and only our collective agreement with safeguards of not having a straight democracy, a republic, right, representative, but only this dynamic, that this is the height of the expression of liberty and freedom. And I'm looking at this dynamic going, this is what they've systematically tried to erode for 250 years. And they're trying to do it on the delegate level now to get rid of the delegates. Oh, you didn't get authorization to sign up delegates from us now. We're a little offended, or we're a lot offended. In fact, we're going to get rid of you because we don't like you signing up delegates. Dude, I have Joe Farkas host party. I got a party next weekend. You know what he's going to do? He's going to have the delegates that he appreciates. We're going to have some food here. He might sign up a few people to run for delegate. Is this a cycle that we do for delegates? I got to sign up again.
Well,
so this is how out of the loop I am. We're going to get Teddy to be a delegate.
delegates don't matter, though. I'm sorry, but it's only the top brass of the party. That's according to our grassroots. That's according to your grassroots people in the Republican Party. And
The grassroots director who once appeared on This Is My Brain.
And you wonder, and people wonder why. Oh, Teddy, why don't you join the Republican Party? You can make a difference. You can join. Like
Mr. Lang, because I know you're going to watch this.
Long?
Remember, he's Lang. Remember, he spells he says Franzel instead of Franzel.
Oh,
so I call him Mr.
my bad.
Lang. Yeah, I know you're going to watch this. So if you ever want to come on the show and sit down, we could feel free, sir. I've known you most of our lives. We
Come
grew
get
up in the
some.
same
He was
neighborhood,
more proud of it being the longest show that I've ever done. And that's because he's oblivion.
He's a bloviator.
I was like, dude.
Oh, but hey, we should probably get back to your story. I mean,
yeah.
Jeremy went on like an hour and 45-minute aside.
Was it good?
As he tends to.
It was
Oh,
good.
It was great.
It was a good conversation.
you want to catch up with chat?
So let's
you know
talk
what?
about catch up with the chat, then we'll talk about the
Because that's the point is I don't want to just hear your story. I want to pull at you and get other information and see other sides of your dynamic. Because then that is part of the story. Teddy, catch us up in chat.
I just want to say first, I think his story is a very good example of how the Republican Party, any party in the current liberal system, works, where anyone that wants to make a change to establish systems of power will get pushed out, slandered.
We understand that completely.
100%.
But then there are still people that tried.
So Ella Bella saying, she said Trump is fighting the New World Order for Iran, and then she said They jailed the lawyer suing Gates and Fauci and Pfizer in the Netherlands, and then everything leads back to the globalists.
So I agree
And John
with
Bowie says
agree
the
with-
Iranian globalists.
I agree with both those statements 100%. Is who's defending this lawyer going after Gates and Fauci and Pfizer? That's what we should do. Trump, a huge mistake. I don't know what the fuck he's thinking, and he gives indemnity to for the
Glyphosate.
The glyphosate.
Yeah.
What the fuck, dude? Glyphosate is there is no such thing as a
We're gonna
wheat-
make America healthy again with glyphosate.
Golden age, golden age, golden age, golden age.
There's no such thing as a what is it called? The wheat when you eat bread.
Gluten.
Gluten. There's no such thing as a gluten intolerance or celiac disease. You know what it is? They spray fucking glyphosate on the wheat after it's been harvested so it doesn't rot in the boats because they wait too long because our infrastructure is so fucked up. We used to have a local,
Yeah, it used to be
really
all
good infrastructure.
localized.
There's a whole push in the cattle industry. They want, and Trump did do some really good things in working against the cattle conglomerate as far as the processing. But there's a dynamic, and I'll go to you, Teddy. There's a dynamic in this where there's a whole group that's pushing to have once again local processors for beef and local sales.
Yeah.
To where we don't have this one size fits all FedEx hub of fucking processing meat, but we have infrastructure that would cut out all of this a shit ton of dynamics, right? So on the farming side, on the wheat side, right? They spray these crops with glyphosate specifically wheat after its harvest to keep it from getting mold and fungus on it. And that's where your gluten intolerance and your celiac disease, that's where it comes from. The glyphosate. It doesn't come from the fucking actual wheat, you know. And we gotta fix this shit. And I do thank God for RFK Jr. because he's pushing back this.
Yeah.
But every time he takes a 10-second vacation, these fucking establishment people undermine his fucking authority because he's done.
Well, they're
some
giving
real-
money. They're giving money to Trump here and there. They're investing in Trump's businesses. They're throwing money at Trump's,
Well,
ballroom or whatever. They're throwing money in his different campaigns and stuff and his PACs. You know, they know how the game is played, that's why they always win
and
it.
that's just say that's how top bottom thing works. You want the people to have America healthy, but you have corporations give to your precious little ballroom or your campaign, then that will just be mitigated. And I want to say too is that our economy is so commoditized. I don't know if that's
commoditized.
commoditized. I'm sorry.
Commoditized.
That cattle futures, I don't know if you guys knew that there were actual cattle future indexes. They have performed better than our current record-setting stock market in the last few years.
I watched Dan Aykroyd on the Fly on the Wall podcast earlier this week, and
You got some of his Crystal Head
Dude,
Illuminati vodka.
dude, that's where this fucking bottle comes from.
It's a crystal skull.
Yeah, it's a crystal skull. But in the movie Sneakers with Robert Redford and River Phoenix, James Earl Jones, phenomenal movie. If you haven't seen that, do that. He's going off all the time on these conspiracy theories, and he's talking about cattle mutilations and the aliens coming in and taking cow lips. That's real, motherfuckers.
Let's go back on that note. Let's go back to Austin's story.
Wait. I throw that one out, and that's the one Shane doesn't step on.
Man.
The aliens.
Man.
They're
Man.
stealing the cow tongues.
Well, Jeremy, you know the cattle futures are so high because
Cattle mutilation.
Slavskin is using all of them to eat the hot dogs she makes.
ugly
The
cow,
chupacabra is
that's
real.
why the cow.
The chupacabra is actually an alien.
And let me remind you, that's the Democrats that are doing this right now.
I think the chupacabra is a hybrid of the hairless cat and
Okay,
We're fucking
so Austin,
Let's get
about
back
your
to your
story.
So
Okay, they bring the Boomer Sanhedrin brings you up on these vague charges, and they're about to expel you. Explain the situation.
yeah, what the
yeah,
fuck?
so it's right before the ending of the meeting. It's not on any official document. No one has been notified. No one has gotten any information about this except for a very niche group that, of course, can telephone their friends and say, hey, come on over to the executive committee tonight. We're going to vote him out. I got good reasons, I swear. And they don't actually give any good reasons. So, we're sitting there and there's 5 of them the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, and the 2 Johns. And they're all.
It
I
says
mean,
the 2 Johns like they're a couple guys waiting for their prostitute.
Yeah, it is. It does
2
remind me
Johns.
of that.
And so
The 2 Johns waiting in the corner for their
They-
prostitutes
they-
to come around.
you just wait till I have
Ladies
you
of the
Google
night.
about the
Oh,
Zemmer
yeah.
situation. Actually, start looking up Zemmer Middle School
Okay.
and look up
We got
some
the-
of these articles because
Yeah.
just to prove that I'm not
It's in
crazy
our
about
list.
this.
Shane chastised me for not making sure we were going to.
And so what ended up happening was, yeah, just type in Zemmer Middle School on Google and then look through the news articles. Look for
Is
the
it
New
in-
York
is it-
Post.
No, it's not in there.
Nope,
Okay.
not in here. This one's different, but it's
Okay.
we'll pull up a New York Post article. That's how big this was way back in the day. It got
Give it to me
national
again.
attention. New York Post, Zemmer Middle School.
All right, go talk.
And so I have these 5 that are all very well coordinated and attacking me on all fronts. The youth start getting really upset. They're just, what are you talking about? They're out of line. They're not executive committee members. They actually got threatened to get kicked out. So John DeAngelis, whose son we'll be bringing up here in a second, the whole reason that part of the reason this all came together, he's sitting there telling me that I've done everything terribly, that he's been trying to mentor me, he's been trying to talk to me, and nothing's been getting through, even though I'm the only one that ever tried to extend an olive branch to these people.
Was that Zimmerman?
Middle school. It's Zemmer.
Yeah, I got it.
Yep.
You got an I.
Put ZE instead of ZI.
Oh, Zemmer.
Yep, Zemmer.
Zemmer.
Yep, E right there.
Okay.
Yep. And yep, right there.
Right there.
Yep,
Okay,
that's
go ahead.
it. And
Continue.
so we're, the youth start getting upset. They're getting out of line. I look at the youth and I say, I'll handle this, guys, on my own. Thank you very much. Please be quiet, be
Yeah.
respectful with this.
Yeah.
This is not a time to make us look bad. So I'm answering any questions. They're throwing up, they have 7 allegations that they said they convicted me of, and one of them being the precinct delegates. There was they were mad at me for making a poll on Facebook about if we should have a debate with our
It was not a
city
stripper
manager.
poll. It was.
Nope, it was
a-
an actual poll, just
Okay,
asking
all right,
people
Just checking.
on what their opinion
Gonna
would
check
be.
for Teddy's sake.
There's a lot of drama going on in Lapeer between the mayor and a city commissioner, and I asked the Lapeer News and Discussion on if they would like to see a debate between the mayor and the city commissioner.
Mayor.
And they were super upset with me for making a poll on Facebook. Then they said I wasn't a precinct delegate. I defended myself there. I explained what happened. Stephanie, the secretary, actually got up out of her seat and started lunging at me. Like trying to be like, nah, like yelling at me. Like we're up front in front of everyone.
She was intense.
Oh,
in
she
your
got up.
face?
She got up and starts pointing at me.
She wasn't the same 45-year-old chick that showed up at your
Yes,
thing.
actually. Yeah, it was. Ironically enough.
Hilarious.
And,
Can't make this shit up.
dude, so
No, but did she have a coloring book when she was pointing?
no
Oh,
coloring
shit.
books this time. Nope. And so I look at this 45-year-old, 46-year-old lady coming at me, and she's like in the middle of a professional meeting doing this, and I look at her and I say, "Please sit down. What are you doing? like, why are I've never seen anything like this. Please simmer down over there."
Simmer down now.
And so they bring up the precinct delegates, and everyone starts laughing. All the youth are laughing.
Finish my thought before I
Yeah.
interrupt him. Go.
So they bring up the precinct delegate. They're like, and you're signing up precinct delegates at your meeting. Every youth member starts laughing as hard as they can. And some of the crowd, so a lot of people in the crowd that weren't executive committee members that just had to watch this stuff were like, when you signed
You
up.
just had to endure this
Yeah,
shit.
they were sitting there laughing at that when I started laughing. And they're like, don't laugh. This is serious. And we're like, it's signing up precinct delegates is part of my job description, ladies and gentlemen. That's as leadership of any of these organizations, we are encouraged to sign up precinct delegates. And if you're not a part of leadership, as a person, you should be signing up precinct delegates and getting more people involved with the parties if you want it corrected. And so, that's happening. And then they're trying to say I misuse funds for the Freedom Ball and I turned it free. They got upset with me for turning it free.
So no matter what, they're just trying to get rid of you.
Yeah,
And
well,
they're just
Freedom
throwing-
isn't free.
Listen here,
Wait.
liberal. Freedom isn't free unless we make a profit off of it, okay?
got my
That's
money.
Unless it is, that's socialism.
Freedom isn't free. There's a hefty fucking fee.
So ironically,
$1.05. Freedom
Freedom
costs
costs
$1.05.
$1.05.
you know, this is
Like
going on.
$8 now with inflation.
Yeah, exactly.
They're over there going crazy. I'm defending myself. I sat there the entire time and handled every question they could throw at me. I was very honest.
How many times did you say simmer down now?
Only thankfully that one time when she stood up and started lunging at me. I was like, whoa.
You're like, can
this
you go to
is-
cut a coloring book and calm
Yeah,
the fuck
yeah.
down?
Go get us a pizza, please. Like you know,
It's like from Goodfellas. Now shine my fucking shoes.
Now shine my fucking shoes.
so
Go get your fucking shine box.
so- now let me remind you guys, they have a bylaw change where they are specifically in there changing what they're saying I'm breaking to where it says you have to be a precinct delegate. Before it just said you had to be a dues paying member. So they have all this out on the table.
Yeah,
right, and every
right.
executive committee member can.
We
see
have
this.
Exhibit A right
Yeah.
here where you violated the law.
Oh no! It was hilarious. I'm looking at all these people and I'm like, guys, in front of your face, they're trying to change the rules next month that would actually make me ineligible, but it's not in effect right now. And none of you, like, look, it's right in front of your face. It's right there on the package that you received. And so, you know, I'm trying. It was a hit. It was a political hit. They already had it all set up. And
they brought in
ironically,
extra people to.
they
vote
brought
against
in
you?
everyone that they could get that hated me, and they left everyone who likes me back at home for sure. And you know,
What
they
was
had
the vote that they had recently where they? Let's just read. Who was it? Where they waited? They violated Robert's Rules of Order to come to order for like a half an hour, waiting for a bunch of people that they called so that they could get all these extra people to come in and vote against somebody. I just saw this. What the
Sounds
fuck
like
was it?
every GOP meeting ever.
happens
Yeah.
a lot. Happens a
Yeah.
lot. That's
so they're
uncommon.
trying to change these rules.
Yep.
While they're there.
Yep.
Well, they just want to get rid of you. no
Yeah,
matter what.
yeah, that's really what it came down to.
Yeah.
Was I'm posing a threat to them and their establishment, and really a big thing about it is those two Johns are basically like the shadow chairs.
I love when he says two Johns.
And bring up that article again because we could go through here.
Yeah.
To bring it back to one of the big reasons this all happened was if we look here.
So teen allegedly plotted to kill everyone at the middle school,
Yes.
motherfuckers.
Yes, and John DeAngelis
Yeah.
is the gentleman who's the former chairman, and
Okay.
he's one of the guys. Though,
Should we read some of this copy?
well, so go down, and you're gonna see here.
Because we want to give everybody context. We don't read this out of context.
Yes, absolutely. Feel free to read.
Go
Go ahead.
I have to know a voice though. I gotta know a voice. What do you want?
Do it semi
Chinese.
Chinese. Oh, a trio of teens were charged with a violent plot to kill everyone and anyone in the middle school, according to the court record. Okay, so Lapeer County Assistant Prosecutor Dave Campbell said he read the chilling words alleged by Gunnar Rice. Gunnar, you got a guy named Gunnar fucking gonna shoot up a church, shoot up a school?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yep.
In the Pierre County District Court on Monday, detailing that he allegedly planned to undertake a Zima.
Rup here.
Oh,
Rapier.
Rapier. My bad. To undertake a Zema middle school in Rapier, a city of roughly 8,020 miles east of a Flint. You know how Flint is notorious, a friend for guns and everything like that. Rice 14 wrote that he wanted to exterminate all expletive animals at the school. He probably said the fucking animals, but they sorted it out. It's okay. So Campbell said during Monday's arraignment, we will kill everyone and anyone of our choosing because we angry with ourselves and we want to take it out on other people. I added the last part. Rice was charged as an adult for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and using computer to commit a crime, conspiracy of committing terrorism, and a false report. What do you want to get to in this report?
Keep going a little bit more.
Oh, I got to keep it reading?
Just
Okay.
one more. Finish this paragraph.
My brain is going soft when I read it like this. So Campbell also read...
Hold on, go up. You have two other students.
Right
next line
okay,
up.
two other students, asshole. Christopher Kanda and Dylan Michael DeAngelos, both of 15, were charged with conspiracy to commit a first-degree murder, using computer to commit a crime, and conspiracy to commit a terrorism.
So
I just can't keep
Is
saying
that Dylan DeAngelis? Is that the guy?
DeAngelis.
So this
seems
is
to
one of the
be-
people that they wanted to introduce in this.
They have him signed. So his dad is the former chairman of Lapeer County Republican Party.
Yeah.
He's the school board, or not the school board, but the library board president or chairman or whatever they have on their organization.
Okay.
And he's basically the shadow chair for Lapeer County GOP, one of them. And
what is the shadow chair?
That they don't have to be the official head. They just have to call the chairman behind hours and say, hey, we didn't like how that was going, so we're going to change it. And you know, they could
call that Geppetto.
Yeah, they could get emergency board meetings before your biggest event.
Geppetto, just before there are no strings on me.
Yeah, and so you know, overall in Lapeer County, I didn't bring this up in the meeting, but this is a lot of what the context was, because I don't want Lapeer County GOP. There's a lot of good people in the executive committee, and they don't need to be tied in with this. This was the leadership that completely, we brought a complaint to them. And instead of addressing the complaint, and I never once asked for anyone's removal. I never asked for anything.
You said, hey, maybe should we look at this?
Yeah, maybe we should look into this.
Might be something here.
Yeah, this is something that might be, you know, we're supposed to be pro 2A.
Yeah.
Having a school shooter as a precinct
We got a kid
delegate.
named Gunnar Rice.
Yep.
And I had to read it in Asian. Rice had nothing to do with it. But yeah, you're like, no, nothing.
They did
here.
basement tapes too, like Columbine. They were like trying to do the Columbine style basement tapes. They did remakes of them, and like all this other crazy stuff. And if
the other kids had walked in with their firearms,
yeah,
like they did when I was in school, like our school had to cancel class on November 15th because they knew half the boys in the school were not going to show up because they're out hunting.
Yeah.
But you gave their Scott got excited over there.
Absolutely.
You know, when that was happening, we didn't have shootings in our schools.
Nope.
You had maybe some blue cities might have had it, but in rural country or rural areas, you didn't have any of these shootings. You know why? Because half the kids were fucking armed or knew how to use a firearm.
Yep. It was encouraged.
You walked in with your firearm and put it in your locker.
Yeah, I'm going hunting after school.
I'm going hunting after school if I'm coming in.
Yeah,
dude, that was the reason the Japanese said they couldn't invade the mainland in World War II is because
there's a rifle.
There's a rifle behind every blade of grass. That was their words. Now we've flipped the script completely, and these kids are just like Columbine kids are putting together these dossiers or these tapes or these agendas, writing it down. Going to do these strikes because they know.
And this is something that how can I recruit people that were in this school? My brother, as an example, was a grade below this kid. The middle school at that time was 8th and 9th grade. He not only wanted to do Zemmer, but there was rumors they wanted to attack the main high school as well. Well, my brother was in middle school with him, and I have my cousin was there. I have plenty of blood family and relatives. And what, heaven forbid, if something did happen, and Oxford happened a year after that. A year after that, we had Oxford happen in our backyard, where I had another cousin who was in the building when it happened. This is not something we're going to sit here and say, yeah, let's encourage this. No, this is wrong. This is something that we should be working to change, and you know, and not what your first words out of your mouth are. I'm going to fucking remove you because I brought this to your attention.
That was his first words to you.
That was the vice chair.
Remove you.
The vice chair's first words right out of his mouth before he responded anything else was, "I'm going to get you fucking removed."
Because you brought this to attention.
Because I brought this to attention.
We can't have this.
But let's imagine if there was something like this happened, and someone who was more of a patriot or more of an America First person had something like this in their background. Do you think those people would use it the first thing they could to kind of remove this person, blacklist them, throw them out of the party?
Absolutely.
Of course they would.
100%.
So the hypocrisy is just foul.
It is
overwhelming. Teddy, read Tim Allen is chiming into the chat, and I want to read this because it's very funny.
Tim says, I've been taking a shot every time Trejo says back to the story. Been wasted for 90 minutes.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. So let's get back to the story. I said at that time, don't take a drink, Tim.
But so we're sitting there. We could get into Scott McMahon now with the story, because Scott McMahon chimes in once this is all happening.
What is his position, and where
he's a county commissioner? He's actually my county commissioner.
Okay.
Which is a statutory member.
And you're part of the 9th, or you were part of the 9th?
I'm a part of the 9th.
He still is.
The 9th congressional district. I'm a part of. I'm very blessed to be.
Which is not the county.
Nope. It's
so
7 counties.
Covers how many?
7 counties.
Ooh.
Oakland, Macomb, all the way up to the tip of the
And
thumb.
you were the youth.
Youth chairman and executive
chair.
committee member. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm on the bigger scale of things where I have the 9th District Youth has been my most predominant successful organization.
But they were removing you from the executive committee.
Not in the 9th. Not in the 9th. I'm
For the
still
county.
for the county. They
County
took me out of
executive committee.
they took me out of the county. They took
That's
me
what
off
that's
of
what
the board.
Shane clarified. In
Yep.
Yes, exactly. So he's
Yep.
still the 9th CDRC youth chair. They just ousted him from
The
Lapeer
county.
GOP.
Yes. So I'm still a part of the GOP.
Did
I
that have
still
anything to do with your appearance on the show here?
well, that's where Scott McMahon gets into.
Yes.
Okay.
And so Scott McMahon.
I've
Go-
never met Scott, but according to
Um,
that statement, he's a dick.
Well,
Yes.
so Scott has
According to many statements we're going to get into very shortly.
Scott's quite a character. Scott is someone that has a very interesting background, and he just kind of showed up in Lapeer randomly, and he
What's the
has
Out of the
background?
blue.
What's the background there?
So he was from
We-
Arizona,
Mhm.
and
Was
there's
there some cultish activity?
that's
there?
he's
some
he
rumors?
has stated publicly that
He's
he
stated
was a
publicly.
part of
Okay,
two
we want to
different
make sure that
cults.
came from
Two
his
different
lips.
cults in Arizona. Yes,
Okay,
he has
yeah.
admitted to that.
Yep,
Okay,
and
from the horse's mouth.
Yep, he's admitted to that, and that
Okay.
he grew up out of that, and he has learned a lot. And that's I'm glad that we have those moments of growth.
He was
But-
in a cult, and now you're in a cult if you are against him politically.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
And so how he got into the Lapeer County GOP is actually an interesting story. The former county commissioner, so I was a second longest sitting board member for Lapeer County before my removal.
excellent.
So I've had a lot of experience in the county dealing with a lot of things, Scott
Yeah.
McMahon being one of them. Scott, just so you know, back when all this originally came to context, I was a part of the board that ended up just kind of turning our head and going, well, he's our county commissioner instead of doing anything against you. At the time, I didn't know who you were by
so you
any
give him a
means.
pass, the cult
Well,
member.
so we didn't know that at the time, but
No, I'm just saying.
yeah,
It's public
so-
record right now, right?
well, and
Former cult member.
because I know he's going to watch this podcast. he brought it up.
Hi.
Hi, Scott. If you want to come on, or I'll go on your podcast. Even I've yet to
Does he
turn
have a
down
podcast?
He has.
Does
Bigger
it have
Truth
as many
Media.
cameras as mine?
No.
No.
Usually it's him sitting in his office, and
That's
another
right.
person's in his
That's right.
office or their
If
office.
you're going to do a podcast, fuck up the cameras
probably has
by
the same,
having
probably
10.
has the same quality as our. I'm not gonna say anything.
Don't
but-
you do it, fucking Teddy.
But I'm here for communication. I'm here to talk.
Teddy's trying to blackpill us.
And so anyhow, he the day before the deadline for the county commissioner position, the person who was running, that was the incumbent before, dropped out, and Scott McMahon filled in and became the only primary contestant for the Republican Party for that county for the county commissioner position.
Okay.
So it was really weird off of the rip.
No, keep talking. I'm pointing at Teddy off camera. Don't
No,
do
you're
that.
good.
shit.
My bad. But it was really weird off rip. It was something that brought up a lot of attention to it. And since then, he's had a lot of controversies, including trying to, he wanted to take Lapeer County's animal shelter from a no-kill shelter and bring it down to a 30-day kill shelter.
Oh, kind of
Um,
like PETA.
Yeah.
PETA.
that's
What's the big animal shelter?
rights. Yeah.
The number one animal rights shelter in America
kills a
has the
lot.
highest kill rate of animals.
Yes.
And they act like they're all about
Holier than thou.
animals and holier than thou. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, and I actually do respectfully during that time, and this is what confuses me, is I had a lot of protests to Commissioner McMahon about this, and being his constituent who lives in his district as his county, he's a county commissioner.
Yeah.
I brought a lot of complaints to him. We had a lot of good conversations. I thought he was absolutely out of his mind for that one. And I
Would
disagree
you use
with
the
him.
words crazy?
I would say that yeah,
Psychotic?
I would-
Maybe,
for
maybe
that-
a little unhinged?
for that decision, yes.
Okay.
And
Okay. I just want to
we'll
get
base it
clarification.
as individual.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. These are your words, not mine.
And,
Wait, these are my words, not yours. That's right.
well,
Okay.
and even though we disagreed completely on that, we both learned how to have respect for each other.
right.
And even though
Isn't that what we're supposed to do?
yeah, that's what I was under the impression is we
Yeah.
could agree to disagree. Let's have a conversation.
right.
And so, during our Lapeer County GOP meeting, he brings up that I've been on this podcast that I mean, he's like, you're a Nazi sympathizer.
Huh?
We
Um,
actually have the video of that.
yeah,
if you
let's
wanna
pull
play
it
it
up.
up. Let's
Let's
play
pull
it.
it up.
On the podcast, you said shit on the podcast. Oh, let's go to the file over here. Which one do we want?
No, it's in your Facebook.
Oh, it's on my Facebook?
Yes.
All right, other browser. My bad. My bad. I gotta go to Shane Trejo sending me messages and 15 other people sending me messages. Shit.
Busy guy.
You know what? I gotta train Scott on how to do this. Shane Trejo,
There I is.
resident Mex.
All right.
If I could,
Is that it?
Up the videos, the first one, then the second one.
First
Yep.
one, then the second one. All right, let's go to that.
Facebook audio down.
Yeah, you got your Facebook audio
Oh,
down.
it was supposed to, when I clicked on it, it was supposed to go full screen and unmute itself. Fucking
Technology.
asshole.
And it was this
Scott, do you bring that
turn it up a
audio
little
up?
bit?
blood and our soil. And the
Uh,
Jewish people have no claim.
Wall feed?
We're booming it.
And so he actually ran, this is
Thank
just
you,
a few
sir.
years ago, that Shane Trejo was running a podcast called Blood, Soil, and Liberty, was the co-founder of Identity Europa, which is a Jewish question white supremacist group. This is Shane Trejo that he was on, and it's not just that he was on the podcast. Austin was actually, and I shared this with some other members of the executive committee, because I was just horrified. He's actually defending his own anti-Semitism and explaining how he arrived at his anti-Semitic views.
So we
I think
slandered Austin as an
California-
anti-Semite.
the California
I
Republican
mean, we
Party
can.
just this week.
I mean,
the
Austin
state party
didn't say anything
just
remotely
changed their bylaws
anti-Semitic
so that they would define
when he was on this
They
podcast.
would define white supremacy, and they specifically ban anyone who meets that criteria from being a part of the California State Republican Party. I think that we should do that here. I think
Ban anyone who
every party
criticizes
in
Israel
every
from
county
the
and
state
district and
Republican
state
Party or
party
any
in the
Republican
country.
Yeah.
apparatus.
Well, he pushed this California GOP's policy on this, which California GOP is it's the California GOP. When's the last time they won anything?
Yep.
And respectfully, Scott, just so you're aware, I've worked with the California GOP. I've been on helped them with their youth programs, ironically through the Promethean. So
Not to be misconstrued with the aliens movies and Prometheus.
Prometheus, that's
Yeah.
whatever Prometheus Action, that group with
Yeah.
Susan Kokinda. I've been on their meetings. I've talked
Did
to
you
them.
go on a podcast and offend everybody?
I did go on a podcast with her with I didn't at the time it wasn't controversial.
It wasn't
Maybe it
controversial
is
then?
now, but like
I want to know what this guy said right at the beginning. I'm going to pull back here and go back to this because I want to know what he said right at the beginning because he attributed you being on a podcast and then immediately equated some kind of affiliation. I didn't understand that dynamic.
Yeah,
I'll
he
play this
said
here.
that. Well, I had a podcast that was bad.
You have a
and,
podcast?
Yeah, I had a podcast, and we can get into that later. That's in the sheet.
Okay.
But I had a podcast that was bad. It was named Blood, Soil, and Liberty. That's evil Nazi rhetoric, according to him, and that
Blood, Sweat, and Liberty.
because of that.
Yeah.
That then Austin, because he appeared on a podcast with me, is an anti-Semite, and he's said
Well, that's
anti-Semitic
obvious. I mean,
things.
yeah.
Didn't mention what those things were.
Did you disagree with Israel or any of the Israeli government or any Jewish dynamics whatsoever?
I have no issue with the Jewish
No,
religion.
did you disagree with the Israeli government?
The Israeli government,
Yeah, anti-Semitic. Okay, I
That's-
just wanted to establish that dynamic. Teddy will back us up on that. That if you disagree with the Israeli government in anything that they do,
You're anti-Semitic.
you're
That's-
anti.
That's the new
it's
modern
automatic. No,
definition.
that's automatic.
If you disagree with Larry Loomer wanting to bomb the Iranian people out of their thing off? What is? I don't know why.
If you
There you go.
disagree with Larry Loomer on bombing the Iranian people to have power or water or anything to live, then you're anti-Semitic.
Totally true. Totally true. All right, let's go back to this.
And yep. Okay, keep going.
I want to hear what this guy's saying because
It's the second clip.
This is the first one.
Okay,
No, it's the
let's go
first clip.
again.
I want to hear what he said.
And it was this idea that this is our blood and our soil, and the Jewish people have.
Oh, that was your so.
And so he actually ran, this is just a few years ago, that Shane Trejo was running a
Oh, you're
podcast.
doing a
called
podcast a few
Blood, Soil,
years
and
ago.
Liberty, with the
But now you're on this
co-founder of
podcast.
Identity Europa, which is a Jewish question white
So he
supremacist.
think did he
This
think
is
that
Shane
you were
Trejo
on
that he
my?
was on.
No,
and
he knows.
it's not just that he
He's
was on
trying
the
to equate it
podcast.
He's
falsely.
obvious- he's
He's trying to
obfuscating.
falsely equate it to
Austin-
obfuscate to
He's
build the
obfuscating.
case to destroy Austin
Okay.
dishonestly.
So he's trying to do what do you call that? guilt by association.
Yeah,
type
yeah,
of thing.
yeah. You're guilty by association.
Yeah, which I would not consider you. I mean, being a proud Mexican,
A proud Mexican American.
Mexican American, I would not find you to be anti-Semitic in any way, shape, or form. Because I think
It comes down to.
I don't
yeah,
even know
okay,
how they
keep going,
equate. But
keep
let
going.
me play
It was
this.
actually, and I shared this with some other members of the executive committee.
Yeah.
So I was just horrified.
Wait.
He's actually defending.
When he says share this with many executive committees, he means he was telling him his slant.
Yes.
He was
to influence them.
tattletaling, cancel
Yeah,
culture,
yeah,
tattletale.
Yeah, he was calling people
bitch
to
boy
try
behavior.
to get
Yeah.
me canceled
Yeah,
100%.
At his anti-Semitic views.
Anti-Semitic views.
I think
It's absolute, no matter, no question.
All because I questioned the Gaza situation.
The state party.
Oh, you mean the
Just
genocide.
genocidal bombings?
Yeah, the genocide that's happening in Gaza, I question it.
White supremacy, and they specifically ban anyone who meets that criteria from being a part of the California State Republican Party.
Who
I
specifically
think
banned
that
it?
we should
California
just
Republican
have
Party
every-
passed a
every
resolution
party
saying that
in every
anyone who
county
likes
district
Nick
is a part of
Fuentes
the
is banned or something to that effect.
Yeah, because Nick is highly controversial and just trying to point out that might be giving way too much influence and credibility to a bunch of people that just want to commit genocide on a whole group of people that might actually be genetically more Jewish than the Israelis.
More Semitic.
Semitic or Jewish.
Okay.
Most of Israel is made up of Ashkenazi and Northern Jews that have less genetic Jewish heritage than the Palestinians who've been inbreeding and lowering their IQs for the last couple hundred years.
Well,
And let's-
for better or worse.
Let's go
or
to
mostly
video.
worse.
Let's go to video
yeah,
number
let's check
2.
number 2.
Because even the chair or whoever's presiding
This
over
was
it
hilarious.
is even like I didn't see any nothing you're describing is even there, and humiliates dumbass Scott McMahon the liar.
Imagine they're all infighting and they start infighting over this.
Yeah, they're like, no, that's
we
wrong.
hate them, but not that much.
All right, let's do it.
And Austin, you run in these circles. We talked about this. And this is absolutely, this is not what the
Where are you
Republican Party is
sitting?
about.
I'm over on
And
the
this is
left up
something
front.
that
That's
I
the
think
board.
we have to take a stand on.
Thank you, Scott. I would like to add, well, I want to add something first.
You're like, what the fuck?
For real.
I was sent, I believe, clips from Austin's appearance on Shane Trejo's podcast, which was really amazing. Yeah. And with comments about what he said being anti-Semitic. I watched the clip. I don't watch Shane Trejo's podcast. I didn't watch the entire podcast with Austin's appearance on, but from the clip I was
Dude, I
good.
need clicks when
I
you
don't
click.
believe
I've now taken over your podcast, by the way. It's now my podcast.
I think they were in the jar.
I'll take you taking over versus some of the other people hijacking my podcast.
More influence over American politics than it should.
Dude, this is very quiet.
So that was my takeaway.
You gotta turn it up.
So I just want to put Austin here. I think
It's all the way up.
Are you sure?
Not on the same side.
Scott,
of this issue
boost it.
particularly, But that's my personal belief on that particular issue.
All right, I'm going to go back a little bit. Scott, can you give us a little bit more volume? You might have to go up to the trim at the top.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of course, we don't want.
Over American
It's
politics
maxed
than
out.
it should.
How about the gain
So
at
that
the
was my
top?
takeaway from it. And
You can do
so I
that
just want
circle.
to put Austin here. I think I'm getting.
You know what I'm talking about, the circle at the top? So go up on the circles at the top of the,
Yeah, it's maxed.
both of them?
You got to bring Jorge
All
back.
right, go ahead.
Not on the same side of this issue particularly, but
Fucking cell phone recording
That's my
audio.
personal belief on that particular issue.
Dude, I need to send you guys with some cameras.
Yeah.
I'll amp it up. I'll amp it up on the replay.
Yeah.
But
Of course,
so
we don't
pull up the
want
doc. So
This is the reason why. It's because somebody is like using their cell phone.
Austin,
pull up the doc, and I can
Okay, all right.
talk a little bit first about the Blood, Soil, and Liberty podcast.
So this guy doesn't. This Scott guy doesn't even have
Hall
a fuck-
monitor.
Not our Scott. Our Scott's fucking
Scott's
badass.
cool.
Not
We love
me.
Scott.
Serving the
Not
military,
me.
he's fucking badass. But this other Scott here with the
Hall
with the,
monitor, tattletale,
uh,
cancel culture, crybaby.
Well, not
FAFO.
not yeah, fuck around, find out. But not only that, he's a fucking skinhead. Why is this neo-Nazi fucking skinhead looking guy?
He's a bold boomer.
And I can say that because I shaved my head for 20 years. I showed you pictures earlier when
During
I
your Nazi days.
During my Nazi days, where I was ministering in multiple black churches throughout Detroit, and beloved. Me and my white wife showing up there, that we were loved. So yeah, dispelling
your
that
Bentley.
fucking image. So what the fuck?
Yeah. So
You want me to pull up some other stuff?
Yeah, pull up the sheet.
We do have a super chat.
You want
for
this?
Oh,
donation.
super chat. Do the super chat
wait,
first.
wait. Super chat.
Or donations.
Oh.
We have a
super chat.
$25 donation from our dear friend John Bovey,
What?
and it says $25 to support Trump's war against the Iran globalist world order.
Oh shit! Yeah. Totally disagree with you, but we will accept your money. The Jewish question mentioned, you fucking asshole.
Okay.
Larry Loomer, dude, he's gonna be going off. This is your fucking fault, Teddy. Larry Loomer for the next fucking 100 years.
And so back to the topic at hand.
Wait, every time
Tim,
you say
Tim,
that,
do another shot.
Tim's got
do another shot. Back to the topic at hand. Yeah. So regarding the Blood, Soil, and Liberty podcast,
Yeah.
I have a.
Where's that at? Is
I have
that
an
as on
article up
Did you send-
there.
where'd you send that to me?
On the doc, from the Mises Wire. So you see Mises
There it is,
Wire.
okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
So this was
Why is that
during
not clicking?
during the I believe 2016, 2017. There was a chasm within the libertarian movement. Some of the people who believed that
Okay.
libertarianism and liberty should be promoted universally through like a one world government.
Yeah.
Of
You want to look at
some
this?
sort.
How do you want to handle this? You want to read
Just
through
go
some
down
of
to
it?
the bottom of it.
Okay.
And the Mises Institute, great organization.
Yeah.
The
That's
chairman
Dennis.
about you can read it. So the
Oh, right here.
yeah, no voice.
Yeah.
In other words, of irrelevance.
Ooh.
So telling people that what matters to people are their family roots, their communities, their religion, those sort of things are what libertarians should focus on.
Yeah.
Not some kind of namby-pamby liberal
ANCAP.
idea. Yeah, or
Party
liberal
allegiance.
liberal ideals.
Yeah.
That was the crux of it. Now, obviously, the Blood and Soil Liberty name, we knew it would be.
It's kind of the.
We knew it would piss a lot of people off and trigger people. Kind of Nazi podcast was a misnomer, and if
And
we,
for him to
and that was
emphasize it draws on his ignorance and his bullshit.
And this was something that was pushed in the ADL.
Yeah.
It was pushed in the Daily Beast. It was pushed in Soros Think Progress. So this is Scott laundering a far left hit piece, which is something that he does regularly, and we'll get into as we dissect his.
You know
record.
who Teddy hates more than the establishment?
Who?
George Soros.
Fuck George Soros. That's one area where
Teddy's
where
like
Larry
Teddy's like,
Boomer and Teddy can come together on is the hatred of Soros.
You gotta
Teddy
get,
hates
It's not
Soros.
that hard.
well, we gotta get ready, guys. George is getting a little old. We gotta get ready for Alex Soros to step up.
Did you
But
hear
that he's not as competent though.
Did
as
you hear how
George.
subtle that was when Teddy's
It's
like,
like, I guess I
it's-
agree with
no,
Larry. and
no,
sometimes."
he goes, you hate Soros? He goes, not that hard. that was his thing. Dude, play back the clip. He goes, not that hard. Dude, Teddy,
No, I mean,
elaborate for
it's
just
like not so hard to.
Oh, okay.
not, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
He's like, Teddy hates George Soros. Not that hard.
But it's
I
like,
hate that fucker.
when
He's a
when
piece
you're a
of
black
shit.
pillar, you don't want to like focus on the low hanging fruit.
Well,
you
yeah,
want
it's
to
like
go.
Soros. I've
yeah.
been hearing about Soros since like 2014 when I
Yeah.
first would go watch Infowars.
Dude,
And
you're
he's like,
hitting-
he's like,
dude, he was hitting puberty, and he's like, "Fuck George Soros."
he's like at the crap,
Seriously.
He's like,
That's
his,
how it
his
was.
beard's coming, and he's
It's
like,
like-
"That fucking guy's evil."
Yeah.
he's like, he's like a decrepit, like, he's like from the Mummy movie now.
he
You
have-
haven't seen him in like a
Did
year.
he have the Palpatine?
Yeah, he still had that.
Yeah, he's had that for a long time.
He's had that since like
the
as far as I
Palpatine
remember.
eyes.
Yeah.
And like, okay, George Soros, we all know he's bad. What he funds, okay.
He's bad.
I'm
okay?
gonna circle. He's bad. Okay. Did you know that George Soros is
He's
bad?
bad.
He's against freedom.
He was
okay?
a Jew, sold out other Jews.
Okay.
That's bad.
Okay,
He
that's bad.
actually may have been a Nazi.
He
Okay.
said.
Allegedly.
He said like it was happy making time. That's bad. Okay?
Well-
when you killing other Jews that are part of your race, might be a bad thing. Might be
Okay.
bad. Okay.
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 Well, anyways, it's like the lowest hanging fruit, along with the broad term globalists that people can, hate on these days.
I don't believe in the globe. It's bullshit. I call
Okay,
them
the
elitist.
flat
elitist. No,
the flat
elitist.
worldists.
Use the word
the
elitist.
flat worlders are coming over and they're turning the freaking flat frogs
Hey,
gay.
what is the UN map? What does it look like?
It's flat.
A cock?
It's just a flat Earth map. Yeah. What is the UN map?
Well, can you make
It's
a
a flat Earth.
can you make a sphere around an entire flag? Does the flag actually have to have like a sphere poking out on both
Just
sides?
saying. Just saying.
So let's go back to the doc.
No,
Another
No,
shot. Another one.
What's going on?
I'm just making sure Tim
You're
didn't have
gonna,
to
like,
take a shot.
you're
He's
gonna
been
kill-
inebriated for a while.
Hey.
Tim's
He'll
gonna
be
be half
fine.
dead.
What do we want to go back to? We want to go back to the.
There, I think there. What do you want to pull now?
So go back to the sheet. We'll just run down Scott's record. So yeah, so as you can see there, that's the article. You can pull it up.
Am
We
I
don't
pulling-
into go on into
Am I
it
just
too
pull-
much.
Should I go to the?
Just the click the article real quick. We don't got to go into it too much.
Okay.
But that's the article that talks about his
Snake
role,
oil propaganda.
his role in various cults when he lived in Arizona and admitting to that, and that goes into exactly his admissions on his podcast of being a part of these weird groups. But I don't want to focus so much on that as what he's actually saying about the movement and what he's actually doing right now in terms of the message that he's spreading within the Michigan Republican Party. So continue
Continue. What? Continue with
on
what?
the doc.
Yep.
Google Doc.
Oh, I'm back on the Google Doc. Hey, this is real time, guys. This is an actual fucking show.
All right, here we go.
Here we go.
So yeah, this is one of the posts that he made, one of the more offensive posts, spitting in the face of grassroots in Michigan. One thing he says here, if you look at it, he says, one of the biggest crises ahead of us politically is we have state GOPs that are essentially mind-controlled collectivist cults who believe the party is something it should never be, a vehicle for power, control, and accountability. So you see, like, okay, power and control. Who wants to, be a part of something that you're just a naked power grab in the GOP? But accountability. So you're saying that the MRP, you're saying that the Republican precinct delegates should not hold the party accountable, or the different elected politicians should not be held accountable within the Republican Party. So very bizarre statement right there. And then it goes on, gets worse from there. Steve Bannon, Jack Posobiec, Dan Schultz, some other guys I don't know, wanted to recruit dumb, broke, and lazy people to become precinct delegates who want to take over the party and drive out with hatred, Saul Alinsky tactics, all the people with the experience and the resources to help win elections. So right there, you see what he's saying is anyone who is coming in and wanting to restore accountability and wanting to put in more America First type people, he's there to malign them. And if you look at his past, how would you describe him? How would you describe this guy who went back in, had all these failed LLCs and had, was part of all these cults? How would you describe this guy who came in out of nowhere and became a precinct activist and now paints himself to be the oracle of the entire party? So,
Well, what you say about me is more about you.
Yeah, he's projecting here, but also trying to gatekeep as well.
Well, and I'll say this:
reprehensible comments from Scott.
He's talking about like poor, dumb people and stuff like that. That's your constituents. It doesn't matter about your income. It doesn't matter about your education. It matters about you representing them. He is and was at the time of this article being posted a county conservative, I believe, or a county commissioner. What was the date on this?
This was June of 2025.
Yeah, so he was well within his term. This was just last year. And, at the end of the day, the annual household medium income in our area is about $54K. The average income per individual is about $34,000, which is well below the margin of poverty lines. And this is attacking your constituents 110%. We grew up in a town that during the 2008 recession completely collapsed, and our downtown had over 75% vacancy. I think you should learn about your constituents. I think you should learn about your people. I think you should actually try to be involved with them instead of ridiculing them like this. because this is absolutely just gross and disgusting. And Lapeer County GOP has been founded off of good, honest, hardworking individuals. So please learn your constituents. Go out and actually work with the homeless. And ironically, I'm probably one of the biggest homeless fighters in the area for getting them off the streets.
I thought he was going to say the biggest homeless guy.
I'm one of the biggest
homeless
I
guy.
go and find
like one
homeless
of the
people and
biggest
punch them in the
homeless guy
face
that
as
goes
much as
out there and
anyone.
fights
I
Ever.
tell you what, I've had a lot of run-ins with the homeless in my county, and my heart goes out to them. But we got to get these people off the streets. We got to get them jobs. We got to get them working, and you just need to learn your constituents. This is actually kind of disgusting and disturbing how you are treating our people.
Yep, it just shows the contempt that he has of just ordinary people who want to get involved and bring change to the party and don't like the corruption within the party. This is a constant theme: is everyone is a Christian nationalist and he hates Christian nationalism. The idea of instant constantly.
What is he, satanic?
Well, that's up to the viewer to decide. So interesting aside here, he has collaborated with Antifa communist doxer Amanda Moore, who he brought on as someone who was an expert in stopping Nazi infiltration within the Republican Party. Turns out Amanda Moore is an admitted communist. That's Amanda Moore down there, Cancel Mob. I don't think she said she's a communist. I am and I have, she said. So Antifa communist, she wore a wire to go into various Republican events, one of which was mine in outside of CPAC, where I had Marjorie Taylor Greene and other people there. She went there, tried to collect damaging information on people, dox them, get them fired from their jobs. That is who,
MTG did that?
No, the Antifa doxer I'm referencing here.
Oh, okay.
So
because I want you to get MTG on the show.
Tried to get them fired from their jobs, and is an unrepentant communist. This is who Scott McMahon has on his show as an expert in policing the right wing.
I've never met this guy, but I think he's a dick.
Well, and remember, he's the one that got extremely upset for me coming on a podcast with my fellow Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
And he's having an Antifa member on his podcast.
Yeah.
And trying to lecture me about who I'm associating with.
Exactly. So here's what she said. I plan to only go to things to be an invisible participant. However, I shifted gears. I've had a second life as a racist, anti-Semitic fascist. I was making no money and blah, 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 and, crying about herself. But so, yeah, she went to all these different events, some of which were like the Clay Clark type events, some of which were more mainstream CPAC type engagements, and just wanted to get people on tape, wanted to do everything she could to destroy their lives.
This is not the 45-year-old chick showing up with the coloring books at his
no, probably her spirit animal, but
spirit animal.
Very.
But yeah, this is the type of person who Scott McMahon will collaborate with if it feels like if it
helps him.
If it helps him with his goals of running quote unquote Christian nationalists out of the party.
And again, Lapeer County is very Christian based. We have churches on almost any corner that you turn on. And so again, represent your constituents.
Yeah.
I will 2028 is not that far away, Scott, just so you're aware. And I live in your district.
Oh, you got the finger, Scott, right up in your face. Not our Scott. Our Scott's fucking awesome.
What is Scott McMahon actually saying?
Yeah.
Like what are his actual messages that he tries to disseminate within his journalism? Well, here's one example. Scott McMahon denied election fraud from his article inside the December 18th White House meeting, a pivotal moment in the 2020 election aftermath. He said, quote, despite the aggressive advocacy by General Flynn, Patrick Byrne, and Sidney Powell, President Trump ultimately decided against signing an executive order. Had he proceeded, the military would have been tasked with conducting hand recounts of ballots. However, multiple hand recounts across various states, including Georgia, Wisconsin, and Arizona, have since confirmed the accuracy of the tabulated results. So you can see they investigated themselves and found they did nothing wrong.
Actually, news has come out now that
he comments on that later too.
Oh, okay.
With the exception of approximately 3,000 double counted ballots in Fulton County, Georgia.
How many did you lose by?
The discrepancies were
Florida,
not sufficient.
Georgia, it was marginal.
Yeah.
the discrepancies were not sufficient to alter the outcome of the election. Says who? Well, says him, because he believes there's
Sorry, I
no
just had to
election
cough on the
fraud,
mic.
and he hates the people who are pushing to investigate the election fraud that happened in 2020. In particular, he has a hard-on about General Flynn. General Flynn is responsible for all the evils in the world, and he's always spinning different conspiracy theories about General Flynn.
When you say a hard on, you mean a stiff winky, a tiny winky?
Very tiny,
Tiny winky.
very
Okay,
minimal.
I was just double checking.
Yeah, to him,
whatever.
Flynn is, Flynn was the guy who tried to frame Trump for Russia collusion. And
General Michael Flynn?
That's what he says, and we'll get into that in a minute.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, this is what this guy's all about. And some of his old YouTube content before he got this following out of the blue.
Yeah.
You see there, he was he went from being a cult leader or a cult member in Arizona to being a Bible analyst whose podcast got no views. And what an interesting
Hey, low views are not always negative.
Hey, look, I'm not judging. I've had some podcasts that didn't get many views either.
You gotta start
However,
somewhere.
this
I'm
is
just
an
saying,
interesting one.
Some people are watching Michigan basketball right now.
This is an interesting
Final
one.
four.
12 views on this one. Maybe we should let the Democrats win by Scott McMahon.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Maybe we should let them win.
I've been told by everyone that is a crazy concept, and you can't even be in the party if you say that. And I've been a lifelong Republican who plans to be a lifelong Republican and save this party. But this guy who's questioning my ability to be a Republican is sitting here saying maybe we should let the Dems win. And
maybe we should let the Dems win. So let's analyze this for just a second. So maybe we should let the Dems win, but that's totally different than for us to say on the Republican side, we're not voting for this shit candidate, and if a Democrat does win, we will deal with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's two
Because
totally
if a
things.
Democrat win, who gives a shit?
times to use their vote as a bargaining chip, and they are willing to say, listen, you're not going to do what I want, so I'm going to go to a different party, because they realize the two-party system is screwed. And
I mean, it's like the WWE
in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It is very much so. Like, I prefer calling it like middle school with how they act. It's just like middle school. Like, who's sitting at the popular kid
Who's
table?
the popular kid?
Yeah, who's Becky hanging out with now, right?
Becky
And,
doesn't like your bullshit.
Yeah, and so there's been a lot of that.
She's with Todd now. Todd's
Yeah.
the coolest. Shane's not cool anymore. She's with Todd.
Todd's the captain of the wrestling
He's the
team.
captain of the wrestling. The football teams, the season's over. She's with Todd
Yeah,
now. It's wrestling
exactly.
season. She'll be with the basketball guy shortly.
Exactly how that's
Stop.
exactly how most of this politics goes. It's very sad. I thought I got out of middle school like 14 years ago. Evidently, we're back in it because a lot of adults act the same way, and we have
Because
a
it's
prime
so
example.
mature. It's so mature, right?
Yeah.
You look at our founding fathers and how young they were, and how engaged they were,
Yep.
and how intelligent they were. And you look at the dumbing down of society now, to where 35-year-olds, you mentioned earlier in the show, that you're not one of those living in your mom's fucking basement smoking pot. It's this dynamic is they've dumbed down the society on purpose, to where we go, holy shit, the best Democrat out there is Fetterman, who was a fucking lurch-looking stroke victim.
Yeah, who had a
who's
stroke.
now emerged as the most prominently clear-thinking Democrat who's pushing back against the Democrat.
Ever since they
positions.
cloned him and replaced him,
Is that what it was? They replaced?
allegedly.
Did they replace him with a Republican guy?
They replaced him
The
with an
Republican
AI,
clones.
with an
They're
AI
calling out
robot.
AI guy?
Oh,
'Cause I mean,
What
he
in
probably got
God's holy
neurally-
name are you blathering about?
You know what I'm blathering about. But these other guys, you go, oh, holy shit, the only two other huge Republicans that I can see, Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr.
Tulsi Gabbard's on the way out, probably.
Of course.
I would debate RFK is probably not going to last through the full term.
Because he goes, we need to get rid of who we voted for. What the fuck? Continue.
So Scott McMahon paints himself as the biggest Trump supporter, as the biggest champion of the Trump train, and said he wanted DeSantis for 2024. Not that I think there's an argument for DeSantis, but then to come out and act like you're the most holier than thou Trump supporter afterwards shows you're a hypocrite.
The DeSantis train was a jump the shark.
It was.
Wait your turn. But also, he did wear the platform shoes, and that bothered me.
Yeah, it was there. Something was off there, but So Scott McMahon said that the Russiagate hoax was not based on the Steele dossier, but rather, not based on the Steele dossier, but rather a General Flynn conspiracy. So here he says the Steele dossier was flawed and overhyped by the corrupt FBI, but wasn't the basis of Spygate or Crossfire Hurricane.
Are you a fucking idiot?
And he said this narrative pushed by Kash Patel, Devin Nunes, amplified by Bongino. He loves Bongino now that he's covering up for pedophile crimes, but back then he hated Bongino. And he says that the IC wants us focused on the Steele dossier to distract from the real triggers for Crossfire Hurricane, Flynn and Carter Page. So this was later proven false after Tulsi Gabbard, who he hates because Tulsi Gabbard releases a lot of files that
prove her point,
prove how full of shit Scott McMahon is. So they declassified documents that prove Scott McMahon wrong. So I have the from the article here. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard is vowing to release more information this week, in addition to her bombshell declassification of documents that show overwhelming evidence that Barack Hussein Obama laid the groundwork for years-long Trump-Russia collusion investigation. And then it says here, according to a release from current CIA Director John Ratcliffe, career intelligence officials say Brennan deliberately kept parts of the investigation secret from other agencies and aggressively pushed to include the now debunked Steele dossier.
If you don't fucking know what the whole Steele dossier was about, I apologize for having to explain it to you right now, even though our show prides itself on not apologizing or explaining, but I'm going to apologize and explain for you right now. The Steele dossier was written for, who's the socialist Democrat that ran for president?
Hillary.
The other one.
Bernie Stein?
Bernie Sanders. The Steele dossier was originally written for Bernie Sanders when he was a threat to Hillary Clinton. And when they quietly made a deal and realized that he was a traditional communist and would take a bribe, and use this Steele dossier and change the names, because if you go through the Steele dossier and you read it and put Bernie Sanders' name in there, it fits, because Bernie Sanders is the fucking communist who went to Russia on his honeymoon, who did all the things that they talk about in the Steele dossier, and they pivoted and do it. And Steele has been proven to be a fucking liar coming out of the UK. And also everybody who backed it up on the Democrat side and the leftist side have been proven to be a bunch of fucking liars. But they pivoted and made Trump out to be the Russian agent, even though it was
community reports.
It was
And
literally
they were
copy
all
and pasting Trump's
ignored.
name over Bernie Sanders.
They were all ignored repeatedly over and over again. This is what's come out because of Tulsi Gabbard. And Scott McMahon does not like Tulsi Gabbard because what she's released has made a complete mockery of the narrative that he's been pushing for almost 4 years now. Scott McMahon demands for Kash Patel to investigate Trump supporters.
Demand it.
So here's what would make me Kash Patel's biggest fan. Investigate General Flynn.
General Flynn, who exposed your shit and who lost his home, lost his whole life through false allegations and accusations against General Flynn. General Flynn is one of the most honorable men. If you want to listen about government operations and bullshit that they did, and you want to listen to how to execute a war reluctantly to defend the nation, you need to tune into General Flynn whenever he's on his own podcast or on other podcasts. He is the most level-headed strategist. He is fucking phenomenal.
His strategery is awesome.
His strategery is, I said strategist the correct way. You just keep under. But General Flynn, General Michael Flynn, fucking, and you know what? I love him when he's unhinged. And by that, I mean, when he's allowed to be himself on a non-terrestrial radio podcast, because he's just like we are on the podcast. He's just like,
he's one of the
these
boys.
Stupid fucking people are trying to get us into a world war, and they should have never done that. He's just great. I love General Flynn. I've learned to love him more and more every time I hear him, because he's level-headed. He wants to protect our troops, only deploy them when it's absolutely necessary. He is and he's hardcore about the sovereignty of our nation and not being entangled in not being involved in foreign entanglements. He's a fucking patriot to the core. I love my General Michael Flynn. He's fucking awesome.
And yeah, he says, so not just investigate Flynn, but his whole crew. So don't investigate the Democrats. Spend resources investigating January 6ers and General Flynn and people who he believes are associated with him. So he wants the apparatus of the intelligence community of the deep state turned against Trump supporters while Trump is having his second term.
And he posted that while sitting as a Republican county commissioner.
Dick.
Yes. So investigate Republicans, not Democrats, says Scott McMahon. And
Blanket J6 pardons were a mistake.
Yep. And here's another one. An innocent man doesn't need a pardon. That's a direct quote.
Oh, really?
So are you kidding me? Like you're saying that there's no problems with the criminal justice system at any level? You're saying there's no deep state that was trying to frame people throughout the Trump era? An innocent man doesn't need a pardon? What an insult. What a joke. What a disgrace. Disgusting.
Out of the 5 or 6 top platform points that Trump ran on, vindicating the J6ers was in the top 5 or 6 immediately. I mean, he was hardcore, especially in the last few months leading up to the November election. I'm going to pardon the Jan 6ers day 1. And he followed through on that, and I fucking praise him for that because
it's the best thing he's done.
100%. Then there should have been arrests across the board, and that's where we got pissed off. But but we still have friends, right? Stuart Rhodes, Joe Biggs.
Yeah, they got clemency. They need a full pardon.
Full pardon. They got clemency.
Cliff Ross had to go through his entire seriously, he had to go in front of a court.
Right. We've had Stuart on the show 2 or 3 times now.
Yes.
And it's like, dude, he and 11 others, Stuart Rhodes and 11 others, need to have a full pardon. All they got was clemency. They can't hold fucking firearms right now.
Yeah.
The right to self-defense is paramount. It's number 1.
It's a God-given right.
100%. My right to free speak is backed up by the fucking firearm in my pocket.
Yeah, and Cliff Ross, as an example, one of the J6ers is, he's a nice guy who's in his golden years, and I could guarantee you he wasn't at J6 to cause an insurrection. He was there because he loved his country.
100%.
And when
it's the first insurrection in the history of this country where there were no firearms charges, let alone firearms in the Capitol.
Well, and that's coming from the side with all the firearms. If 600,000 protesters showed up with firearms, then you would have had an insurrection. But 600,000 firearm owners showed up without their firearms.
If they'd have showed up with their firearms, there would have been
an insurrection. Absolutely. But they showed up without their firearms.
Because they wanted to honor the process.
Yes.
And instead of that, Mike Pence, piece of shit, betrayed us all instead of giving us the 10-day re-examination that is required by the Constitution or elite. Allowed, mandated, what's the fucking right word? By the Constitution to re-examine the Electoral College. They could have reassessed those. Mike Pence was the fucking one with the fly coming in and eating his face. That fucking didn't do it, right?
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And
sickening.
And so oppose the J6 pardons, said that, well, now that all the J6ers are pardoned, we can't use the deep state to go after Michael Flynn based on my cockamamie theories. So that's why he opposed
I've
the
been
January 6th
hearing this
pardons.
a lot, Shane, and I haven't dove into it deep, but I've been hearing this a lot from a number of the people that are pro-Iran war, pro-Palestinian war, pro-Ukrainian war, that Michael Flynn is such just this horrible person. And I'm like, I've listened to the guy on multiple podcasts, I follow him on X.
Well, it's the same op
Where
that was trying.
Where the fuck is
it's
this?
It's the same op that was trying to get him and ensnare him and destroy him ever since he was named National Security Advisor, and they had to root him out of there. It's the same conspiracy that's after him. It's after anyone who is legit and not owned by the war party, owned by the deep state, owned by the military-industrial complex. It's the same shit over and over again.
He should be elevated and honored, not worshipped, but elevated and honored as one of the greatest generals that we've ever had because he understands the theater of war, is a strategist, and knows how to go in there and go, if we need to fight a war, here's how we do it. If we don't need to fight a war, here's how we defend our country at home. I listen to him on a regular basis. General Michael Flynn is a fucking patriot and honorable man.
And why? And why?
And a piece of shit like this.
Real asshole. But why? And why though? If he's such a if he's in with the deep state, why did the deep state ruin his life and drag him through the mud and try to throw him in prison for so many years? If he wasn't, if he was their guy, why was he languishing and needed a pardon from Trump, or he was going to probably go to prison for years?
Yeah.
None of it makes any sense. None of it adds up. But Scott doesn't care about that. All he cares about is shoehorning things through his cult-like narrative that he grasped on like he did when he was a cult member in Arizona.
Let me point this out, and then I'll let you continue with this stuff. Think about this from this dynamic. If General Flynn was so bad and so part of the establishment, so why not let him do this? You said that just a second ago. But here's the other thing: is when we look at someone like General Michael Flynn, okay, if he was all the things they're saying about him, you would want to prop him up as your poster child, and yet they went after him immediately to try to destroy him because they knew he had the ear of the president. They knew that he would be the one to dissuade the president from being involved in foreign entanglements and defend our borders, as is his mandate as commander-in-chief. They knew that he would be the voice of reason in the midst of the chaos. It literally goes back to the fucking movie Mars Attacks, right? Where you got that little general that's constantly yelling at the president, "We gotta attack now, Mr. President!"
And there's real assholes like that.
Is that Mark Levin?
That's close.
We gotta attack now.
We gotta attack now.
But that's the dynamic that I'm looking at with this thing is we're attacking the Jan Sixers, and I don't even know where's this Flynn network. They keep saying this Flynn network, like because Flynn has people that agree with him.
Because he has like a couple 501c3s or C4s, and they try to do election integrity stuff. And
these are the same people that are, then they're connecting Michael Flynn this with the Tucker Carlson, Joe Kent, and this Qatar influence nonsense, and how they're actually, part of the deep state. Just all this like out there stuff that doesn't make any fundamental sense.
Yeah.
And this guy is a perfect example of what the Republican Party actually is, where you have these establishment, basically liberal, they're just liberal types that will team up with communists and wingers before actually having any actual right-wing movement.
100%.
Yep.
And I'll give you a little background on this guy too.
Yep.
Go ahead, Scott.
His Bachelor of Science in Management under University of Rhode Island, Masters of Business Administration, Golden Gate University, Masters of Military Arts and Sciences from the U.S. Army Command General Staff College, and the Masters of Arts in National Security and Strategic Studies from the U.S. Naval College, War College.
You talking about General Flynn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
General Flynn.
Scott McMahon. Holy
Thank you.
shit.
No, General Flynn. No. Scott, thank you. That's what makes him a badass, because when you're talking about sending people to theaters of war, and Scott, how many tours did you where did you serve? Give me the details of that.
Operation Uphold Democracy in Haiti, Team Spirit in Korea, was on numerous deployments, other locations.
Yeah. And
I'm glad we protected democracy in Haiti.
No,
We were talking about that earlier.
yeah,
Yeah, like,
Scott,
what a-
Scott and I were talking about that off camera, and he's like, dude,
ridiculous.
this was. He's like, I watched the
Ridiculous.
CIA across the street, across the whatever the
Ridiculous.
I don't think you need it.
No, the Special Forces.
special forces, and they're like, they're there, they blow shit up, and then they leave, and you're left going, what the fuck are we doing here?
Just something to do.
But that's the heart. That's the thing. Is someone like Scott over here off camera? Where's my thing? I had it on camera.
And the people who are part of the military are the best people, the most heroic people,
100%.
and they are the ones who are just thrown in the meat grinder, and
Yep.
they are treated terribly, and they're sent over God knows where.
Yeah,
They do
Scotty,
God
wave
knows what.
Wave
And
there,
then
Scotty.
and then they come back and they're just totally crapped on.
Yeah.
They can't get benefits. Oh, hey, we're gonna cut benefits so
They-
we can go to more
you
war.
lost your legs and your arms, but we're gonna make you. I had
Sickens
veterans,
me.
I make veterans sit, or I've had veterans sit here, and they make them go through all sorts of fucking loopholes and do this to get full benefits. And I go, I want to walk into the VA and just punch somebody in the fucking mouth.
Trump
and
cut-
go,
Well,
"Are you
Jeremy,
s-
it was the same thing you and I talked about. You
Yeah.
know, when we went to Haiti, part of our job was securing the embassy, or sorry, securing the palace. And as much as I disagreed with him, Clinton was my commander in chief.
Yeah.
He has that honor. As much as I disagreed with him, if called upon, I guarantee my brothers and sisters, we would have laid down our lives to protect him.
Right.
And it's not because of who he is; it's because of what he is,
Yeah.
Respect
and
for
we
the
respect for the office.
100%.
And
But-
let me
but
tell
you
you, let me tell
realize-
you when you know,
And I
and when you know the military, or there's all this, especially from the Republican Party, we support the troops, we love the military, we love our heroes, blah blah blah. Until you dare to say we shouldn't go into this war, then you're totally thrown to the bus, just like they did to Joe Kent for telling the truth, and everything he said turned out to be right if you paid attention. But look at how you're treated when you go against the war machine. You are chattel. You are nothing. You are a zero. They will malign your record, even though these guys went on like 11 different special forces missions, lost his wife in Syria for no reason,
Scott,
and
can
they
you-
still throw him under the bus because it's not about. They don't care a damn. They don't give a damn about the veterans. They're there to be killed for foreign policy decisions. Like Henry Kissinger said, military men are dumb pawns for us, the foreign policy masters. That's the
Exactly.
way.
That's
That's the
exactly
way it
what he
is.
said.
The way it's always been.
Yeah.
And it's
And I just
awful.
I just want to add one more thing where the Trump administration ended a VA like home safety protection net a couple months ago, and
Which is disappointing because
10,000 veterans have already been foreclosed, and 90,000 are at risk.
Yeah,
and these are people that you want to send in the God knows where in the Middle East, and who have you sent other places, and you just throw them in the trash and treat them like shit.
Well, and it's not just the Vietnam, and that's what I want to do. Scott, while
Yeah.
you're sitting over there, look up Joe Kent's record. It's like 11 tours, and he
Joe
served.
Kent?
Yeah, he served in like 4 different areas, 4 different special forces dynamics, and he had 2. I want to say 2 Bronze Stars, whatever his record is. And he had one of the highest security clearances of all the military. He could, at one point, he had access to everybody. If there was anything going on military wise, he had access to everything. And when he comes out and says, "Mr. President, I disagree with this," which also reflects almost all of the Joint Chiefs of Staffs and all the military advisors about going into Iran.
Yeah, I couldn't. There's no way to read. But this guy,
what's Joe Flynn's?
Joe Kent.
Joe Kent's.
Joe Kent, American politician, former U.S. Army warrant officer, and former Central Intelligence Agency paramilitary officer, whatever the hell that means.
Right, but give me his.
Served as a director of National Counterterrorism Center.
The National Counterterrorism chair, I believe, has full access to everybody's information.
75th Ranger Regiment, Army Special Forces, Intelligence Support Activity and Special Activities Center.
And 11 tours of duty. I think it's
War on Terror.
2 Bronze Stars.
Yeah, I'm looking them up right now.
And also lost his wife. They both served with military and CIA, which we don't always tout the CIA here. But in this case, when you're on the ground and actually trying to,
this is like 15 pages, man. There's no way to.
And he came out against the
pages.
military-industrial complex. I mean, people are like,
100%.
"Oh, it's an op." It's like, well, why? What's the, why? Like I said earlier, why would the deep state want to throw Scott or want to throw General Flynn in prison if he's their number one operative and he's hanging out there to dry, hoping Trump pardons him? Eventually, did. Like, why would the CIA want one of their guys to come out and spill the beans on why the war effort is a fraud?
Right.
And I've heard some convoluted type of explanations with regards to that, but it just doesn't add up in my eyes.
Well, it's the dynamic of you want to say to your you want to accuse your enemy of what you do. So if I'm a deep state operative, I'm going to accuse you of being a deep state operative. If I have put up a false accusation, then I want to accuse you of putting up a false accusation. If I'm a warmonger and just want to go, then I want to paint you as a warmonger and saying I'm just trying to make sure that they don't get nuclear weapons. It's this whole dynamic of bait and switch or of accusing your enemy. That's the with Saul Alinsky, the rules against radicals, of accuse your enemy of what you do. And then when they come back and say, no, you do it, then it falls into the category of a logical fallacy of you can't say that I'm doing it
when I'm accusing you.
When I'm accusing it. You're right.
Yeah,
and that's the dynamic.
Well, Kent completed 11 combat tours.
Yeah, 11 combat tours.
Meritorious service, Bronze Star Medal, numerous Vs. Combat infantryman badge, CIB.
Dude, he was signing.
He's badass.
Yeah, he's
Scott, you served. So when you want to re-up, you generally re-up before your tour of duty is done because you want to continue your service.
Yeah, you start 6 months out and you determine whether you want to end a tour of service, ETS, or if you want a PCS, permanent change of service.
Okay, so this guy did 11.
Well, no, he did 11 combat tours. So when you do a tour, you could actually theoretically do 2 or 3 tours in your 4-year contract.
Wow. Okay.
So odds are with the amount of time he put in, he probably did close to 20, if not 20 or more.
Wow. Hey, God bless him.
And this is the guy that I want. Him, General Flynn, these are the guys that I want.
Why weren't those guys? I bet if those guys were in the war room with Trump when they're talking about maybe we should go to war with Iran, they'd have given him better advice, and we wouldn't be going to this war right now. We wouldn't be paying higher prices at the pump, and we wouldn't be in danger of losing everything in the midterms because it's going so poorly.
You got to understand one thing though. If these guys are in the war room with the president, they're not talking back at him. You have to understand.
That's fucking huge.
Well, Trump, especially Trump, he likes yes men. We know that. We all know that.
Any president, I mean, that's your commander in chief. You're not gonna talk back and say, no, I don't think we should do that. If he's given the order, you got to do it.
That's what I'm trying not to talk over you, Scott, but that is exactly fucking it. Is when you've got a commander in chief, especially one that we have that we appreciate on a lot of levels, his ego. But on other levels, we're like, can you just say you're fucking you?
That's a massive ego. Holy shit.
We're like, dude, can you just say I was wrong on this? You don't have to even apologize. Just say I was.
That.
It's like, and so Scott, you're exactly right. Is in that room, below the White House, right? The last thing you want to say is, Mr. President, I disagree with that because you're fucking fired.
Oh, you won't say it. I guarantee you're not going to say it.
Yeah, you're not going to say it because you want to go along to get along, and that's the fucking problem. And people need the people that have stood up to President. I still pray for Roger Stone because he's one of his non-military advisors. But he's another one. You have connection with Roger Stone. It's like, Mr. President, what the fuck are you doing? We got him to back off of warp speed because he just kept going after warp speed for months on end. And we're like, dude. Guy that I want to listen to.
Scott
so when
McMahon.
I hear service, okay, great. But the file's nothing through your service. Okay, great. But the file's nothing through your get him and Michael Flynn, go fuck yourself. Get him and Michael Flynn, go fuck yourself.
Well, we could say,
these guys are proven fucking these guys are proven fucking commodities. They're proven guys in the field of commodities. They're proven guys in the field of battle, and then rose to the battle, and then rose to the
talking about.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like something that happens
for a talking about.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like something that happens
for a
Scott, not the Scott McMahon piece of Scott, not the Scott McMahon piece of shit. Disagree. You're not going to last. You're not going to be in the room very